right now.
Get out of the car right now.
Don't make me call my lawyer.
Don't make me call my lawyer.
Get out of the car
Brandon
right now.
Cole slammed his hand against Maya's car window and shouted, his voice shattering the quiet of the Cedar Ridge Development.
Getting inside that
What are you
pile
still
of junk
sitting in there
is going to
for?
help you avoid
Do you think
responsibility.
hiding inside that pile of junk is going to help you avoid responsibility?
Get out of the car right now.
He shouted again.
Do you hear me?
Slapping one hand against the air as if he were ordering a servant. Inside the old blue Buick LeSabre, Maya Williams sat still for one more breath. Maya opened the door and stepped out slowly,
My car has
keeping
been
a polite
parked here for a
distance
while,
between
sir.
herself and the
I don't
angry
care.
man.
Get it moved now.
Sir, she said evenly. My car has been parked here for a while.
Look
Brandon
at what
cut
your
her
car
off with a
did to
harsh
mine.
laugh. Don't
This side
pretend
panel
you're
is
innocent.
completely
That
crushed
pile of
because
scrap
of
metal
you.
had the nerve to scratch my car.
My
Sir,
vehicle is parked
Maya
entirely within
continued,
the white lines
her
of this
tone
marked
still
space,
measured.
sir.
My car
It's fully
is parked
compliant with the
completely within the
regulations.
marked space of this private lot.
You lost control coming
You
around
came
the curve and hit
curve
my
too
parked car.
fast,
The lines
lost
are clearly
control,
marked right
and
there.
hit
Those
me.
lines don't
Parked
apply
within
here.
the lines?
You shouldn't have been
I
parked so
spit
close to
on
the
that.
turn anyway.
Brandon
I want
barked.
everyone to witness
He
this.
turned toward the
She
security
deliberately
guards and the
obstructed traffic
passers-by
right
who
here
were
at the
beginning to
entrance.
gather.
This
His
behavior is
face glowing with
completely
a kind of
unacceptable at the
theatrical
Grandview.
outrage.
This is the
Everybody look
caliber
at
of
this.
clientele she
Look at
brings.
her. Look at that
A
car.
relic from the
A
90s.
black woman driving
She
some
clearly
beat-up
doesn't
thing from
belong
the
here.
last century. And
Do
she
you see
expects
this
us to believe
outdated
she
sedan?
belongs in a VIP
And look at
parking
her.
area. Brandon lifted
People
his
like
chin,
this do not
feeding
belong
on the
in our
attention.
investor center.
Besides,
You weren't
my car was
authorized in this
moving.
area. What were
Hers
you
was the
intending to
obstacle.
steal?
Maybe
Sir,
she snuck in here to
I am
steal
trying
something.
to avoid a scene.
Or maybe
Let's
this is her
discuss
little
this
game.
calmly.
Hit a shareholder's car and try
I
to
do
shake
not
him
want to
down
make
for
the
money.
incident bigger
I'll
than
say this one
necessary
more
or
time,
disturb the building.
Maya said. This is an internal business area. I don't want to make
This
this
heap of
bigger
trouble
than it
barely
needs to
made
be,
it through the gate.
or create a scene that disturbs the building.
Honestly, did
Brandon
you think
smirked.
this poverty belonged
I
here
knew
at
it.
Grandview?
One look at this old car and
My
I knew
car was
trouble had
parked
driven
and you
through the
turned
gate.
into the lane and
Look
hit
at you.
it.
Poor as you are, you probably came in here hoping to trap someone rich like me.
Let's review the security
My car
footage
was
now.
parked.
I'll take responsibility
She said.
if proven
you
wrong.
turned into the lane and hit it.
Responsibility.
We
That's
can
rich
review the
coming from you.
footage. If I'm wrong,
If you are wrong,
I'll take
all I ask
responsibility.
for is an apology.
If you're wrong,
An apology.
all I'm asking for is an apology. An apology, Brandon repeated, almost
Apology
amused.
is out of the question.
This man hasn't learned
You
how
know
to spell
exactly
the
where
word
you stand,
apology since the day
which is
he got
nowhere near
rich.
me.
Brandon said, stepping closer.
This isn't just a
his
polo,
voice dropping
sweetheart.
into
This
a
is
threatening
luxury.
growl.
I'm
and
late for a $1
certainly
million
not for someone
investor
beneath
meeting.
me like you.
Something you clearly
Maya
know
did
nothing
not move
about.
back. Take a good look at what I'm wearing.
I am here to meet
He
the
continued,
biggest investor in the
brushing
city
one hand over the
for my
front
real
of his
estate
expensive
project.
jacket. I came here to sign $1 million contract.
I am about to meet
I'm
the
here to meet the
biggest
biggest
investor
investor in this city face to face for my real estate project. His eyes traveled over Maya again. 1 minute of my time is worth more than you make in a year working for somebody else, he said. And that scratch on my car?
You couldn't pay for
sell
the
your
scratch
whole
if you
life
sold your
and
whole
still not
life.
pay for it. So
Mr.
Maya
Sterling,
breathed in slowly. Mr.
I suggest
Cole,
we handle this differently.
she said, using the
I
name
heard
she
your
had
name
heard
from
one of the
security.
security staff whisper. I don't want to make this
I don't want to
bigger
make
than
this
it needs to
situation
be.
bigger than necessary.
Brandon's eyes narrowed. How
The
do you
name was
know my
spoken a
name?
moment ago.
It was said a moment ago. He stepped
I am
closer.
here for a
Listen
major
to me.
private investor
I'm here
meeting.
for a private investor meeting. A major
I have
one.
no time for
I don't
a
have time
scam
for some
or
scam,
anyone trying to shake me
and I
down.
definitely don't have time for someone trying to shake me down. Maya almost smiled at the irony.
Checking the camera should save
but she
us
did
time.
not.
Your
Then,
constant talk about
checking
cameras
the camera
will not
should
help
save
you.
both of us time.
That evidence
you
won't
keep
even be
talking
reviewed.
about cameras like that's
The
going to
truth
help
usually
you.
helps.
Truth usually does. A murmur moved through the small crowd. Someone near the steps took out a phone. This is exactly
Decent
what I'm
business
talking
spaces
about,
are being
he
disrupted
announced,
by people
gesturing
looking
toward
for a
Maya and her
payday.
Buick. You try to do business in a decent place, and then
You know
people
nothing
sneak in
about
here
me.
looking for a payday. She looked
I
at
know
Brandon
enough.
carefully. You don't know anything about me. I know enough.
I know you're
He
standing
snapped.
beside a car that
I
should
know
not
you're
be parked in
standing
the
next to a
district.
car that shouldn't
My
be
vehicle
parked
is
in this
damaged,
district.
and people
I
like
know my
you
vehicle
always
is
have a
damaged.
story.
And I know people like you are always ready
Perhaps
with a
we
story.
should just review the gate
the
footage
security
from the
guard
camera right
finally
above
stepped
us.
halfway out
That
of the
won't be
booth.
necessary.
Sir,
I told you
maybe
what
we
happened.
should just review the gate
I
footage.
said no exceptions.
Brandon
Get
spun
this
on
heap
him.
out of here immediately.
Did I ask you? The guard
Excuse me.
stopped.
We are
She
requesting
stepped
the
away from
surveillance
the
footage
Buick
from
and
the
folded
lobby.
her hands in front of her.
Just check the
I'll
camera
say
one
this
more
one more
time.
time.
If you
Check the
apologize,
camera.
I promise
If
I
you
won't pursue this any
apologize,
further.
I won't pursue this further. Brandon stared at
The
her,
fair market
then
value.
laughed under his breath. You won't
Are you
pursue this
serious?
further? Do you hear yourself? He looked her up and down once more, his mouth twisting
People as
into a cold
arrogant
smile.
as her need to be
All
taught
right,
a lesson.
he said. People as arrogant as you need to be taught a lesson. Brandon reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone. Maya's expression did not change, but something inside her went still. He tapped the screen
I'm done
with sharp,
talking.
angry movements.
Who are you
I'm
calling?
done talking to you.
My lawyer.
Who are you calling? Maya asked. My lawyer, he said.
I want to be clear.
His smile
I am not
returning now that
calling
he
an
believed
ordinary
power
attorney.
was back in his hand.
I am calling my
Not some
chief
strip mall
legal
attorney
counsel
either.
on retainer.
My chief legal counsel.
I have legal
I
counsel
keep him on
for
retainer
exactly
for
this kind of
situations
situation.
exactly like this.
Enjoy the footage.
Maya looked again at the camera above the gate, then at the small crowd forming in the driveway. A black SUV rolled slowly past and stopped near the curb, its driver watching. Somewhere behind the
reinforcements are
glass
needed
doors,
now.
more people gathered,
I want her
pretending
removed
not
from
to
the
stare.
premises immediately.
Brandon lifted the phone to his ear. The call connected
I want
almost
you to come down to
immediately.
Grandview
Pierce,
immediately.
he said,
We are filing a
loud enough
lawsuit
for
against her
everyone to hear.
right now.
Get
Make
here
sure
right
it's
now
public
and
record
file
by
a
noon.
lawsuit against this woman.
I want her to
I
pay
want her paying
severely
until
through
she
legal
ends
action.
up in jail.
Make sure she loses
the person
everything.
on the other end paused
Understood,
for a
Mr.
moment,
Palmer.
then
we will
hurriedly
initiate proceedings
replied,
immediately.
I understand.
I'm already in the branch office.
I'm
and we'll
right
come
here
down
at the branch
immediately.
office in this
Well,
building.
hurry up. I haven't got all day.
I'll come down immediately, sir. Good. Hurry up. Maya did not answer. She only looked at the old Buick, at the shallow scrape now cutting across its side, and felt a grief sharper. Still, she did not
Calling
raise
the
her
lawyer
voice.
is your choice.
She simply turned back to Brandon and said, "That is your choice." Brandon ended the call and slipped
really
the
should have
phone into his
apologized
pocket.
when you had the chance, Maya.
Satisfied. You should
My
have
lawyers are gonna
apologized
bury
when
you.
you had the chance. Maya
see
met
about
his
that.
eyes. No,
You should have
she said
apologized.
quietly. You should have. And for the first time that morning, Brandon Cole's smile flickered, though he did not yet understand why.
I don't care what
Brandon
you say.
turned
This is
slightly,
entirely your fault.
making sure everyone
Look
could
at my
hear him.
car.
Let me explain
You
something.
are going to pay
he
for
said,
this.
pointing toward the Buick.
Look at this
woman
rust
drove
bucket.
that old wreck
This is
into
an
a private
embarrassment to
investment
the Grandview
district,
Investor Center.
parked where she had no
You
business
clearly
parking.
don't belong here.
And now she's trying to blame me
I
for
understand
damage
why you
to my
might
car.
think that, but I can
That
assure
isn't
you
what
I had
happened,
nothing to do with
Maya
it.
said. Her tone remained level. Brandon laughed. Of course, that's what you'd say.
Excuse me,
People
but the
like
damage
you
was
always
already
have a
there when
story
she-
ready. The security guard opened his mouth as if to say something. Brandon's attention
I want your
had
name,
already
security
shifted
officer.
to
Now.
you.
It's
Brandon
Derek, sir.
said. What's your name?
Derek Johnson.
The guard swallowed. Derek, sir.
Derek, you let her in. How
Brandon
could you do that?
repeated, as
Mr.
if
Cole,
testing whether the
she
name
is
was
an
worth
approved
remembering.
visitor. The
You let
system
her in?
cleared her access.
Derek looked at Maya,
She came
then
through the
back
visitor
at Brandon.
lane. The system shows her
She
access
came
was
through the
approved for
visitor
today.
lane.
That's impossible,
Her
Derek.
access was
Are
approved.
you telling me this unauthorized
Approved
vehicle
by
just
who?
waltzed right in?
Derek hesitated.
Are you serious?
The system.
The machine
Sir,
approved her.
Brandon scoffed.
The system is clearly
The system.
broken if they're letting just
Wonderful.
anyone waltz in here
a
now.
machine lets anyone with a smile and a
It
sad
is fine,
story
Derek.
into a restricted area
You do
now?
not need to answer
Maya
questions
turned
beyond
slightly
your
toward the
duties.
guard, and her voice softened. You don't have to answer
He works for me.
questions that aren't
Get
part
this
of your
riffraff
job.
out of the VIP
Don't
lane
talk to
now.
my security.
Your assumption is
Brandon
incorrect.
snapped.
The security
They're not
staff
your
here does
security,
not belong to you.
Maya said.
You clearly
Brandon
don't know where
angered.
you belong.
You know what your problem
Let me make
is?
it simple for you.
He said.
This isn't your
Stepping
world.
closer again.
Now get out of my
You don't
sight.
know your place. Maya looked at
My
him.
place is
My
exactly where
place,
I am standing.
She said slowly.
Look at her, standing
is
here like she
exactly where
owns
I
the
am
place.
standing.
The
Brandon
sheer
stared
arrogance.
at her. You hear that?
This
He
woman
said,
right here is
turning toward
responsible for the
crowd.
mess,
That
and she
attitude
expects
right
us
there.
to believe she's
That's
innocent.
the problem.
She won't
She
take
damages my
responsibility.
car, refuses to accept
I asked for
responsibility.
camera footage, and the
now
wealthy
she wants to
businessman
lecture me.
refused.
I asked for the
crowd
camera
seems
footage.
to be realizing the
Maya
importance
replied.
of the surveillance
You
cameras.
refused.
I don't need footage to know what
happened. That's not justice, Mr. Cole.
That's ego, not justice.
Maybe the footage would settle it, he said. Brandon turned
Perhaps
on
the
him with a
security
cold
cameras
smile.
recorded the incident.
And you are? Just someone who
Are you
saw enough to
questioning my
know this should
integrity,
be
old man?
handled calmly.
This
Then
doesn't
keep
concern
being
you.
just someone.
As for
Brandon
this
said.
incident,
This is a
consider it
legal matter now. Keep
My
acting
lawyer will
important.
be here shortly.
Brandon added, turning back to Maya
Your
with a
arrogance
thin
won't
smile.
last.
I won't let you
My
stand
lawyer
there
is
looking
pulling up
proud
right
for
now.
much longer. My lawyer will be here in a few minutes. Maya
I
glanced
also
at her
hope the matter
watch.
can be resolved
I
quickly.
hope this can be resolved quickly as well. Brandon frowned, irritated by the calmness of her reply.
My
You
lawyers
like
are
talking about
experts
cameras,
at twisting
don't you?
the truth.
Fine.
Whatever you
Let's see
think
how my
happened
lawyer
here
turns
means
black
nothing
into
in
white.
court.
He leaned closer.
My
His
attorney
voice
will arrive
sharpening
soon,
for the crowd.
and you
Just
will
wait
regret
until he gets
standing
here.
your ground.
Then you'll learn what regret feels like. He gave the Buick another contemptuous
You are
glance.
looking at significant
Putting
liability
you in jail
here.
for property damage
My
and
attorney will be in
trespassing
touch
would be
regarding
the
the
easiest
damages.
thing I do all
This is
week.
completely
Maya
unacceptable.
remained leaning lightly
You
against the
seriously
side
think
of her
this is
car.
acceptable? Look at the
Arms
damage.
folded,
You are clearly
her
over the
posture
line.
I am
steady and
exactly
almost
within the lines,
relaxed.
Brandon. The
I
damage was
know very
unavoidable.
well that my car is parked in a lawful space. Brandon laughed loudly, making sure the sound reached everyone gathered near the entrance. Let me teach you a
people don't
lesson
seem to
about the world
understand.
of rich people.
We built this
in a complex
complex
like this,
and we make
legal
the rules.
or not legal,
That's how the world
is decided
works.
by this wallet.
Mr.
Maya
Cole,
narrowed her eyes slightly.
money can buy a great
You
many
seem
things,
very proud of
but
the
it
money
clearly
you've
cannot
recently
purchase
made.
upbringing or
But money
judgment.
cannot buy upbringing, and it
This is
certainly
completely
cannot hide
unacceptable,
poor
Maya.
judgment.
You can't
What did you
ambush me
say?
here and expect me to
Brandon
tolerate
snapped.
this.
I'm simply
The words
asking for
struck something
accountability,
raw in
Mr.
him.
Cole.
He stepped closer to
Who
Maya,
do you think you
his
are?
expensive cologne mixing
Do
sharply
you have
with the
any
heat of his
idea
anger.
who you are
Who
dealing
are you
with
calling
right now?
poor in judgment? Who do you think you are?
My
Standing
attorney
there
here
like
is
you
one
have
of the
the
most
right to teach
respected
me
men in the
anything.
state.
My
With
lawyer
him,
is one of the most
Grandview
respected
Investors
men
is
in this
shielded
state,
from any frivolous
Brandon
claims.
said. When
The
he gets
composed
here,
act will end when the
your
attorney
little calm
arrives.
act ends.
They will wait.
Then we'll wait for him, Maya said. Something had changed. More phones
This is
were out
completely
now.
unacceptable.
More
You're blocking
eyes
the
were
VIP
watching.
access.
The crowd had
Hey,
grown from
leave her
curious
alone.
to
We're
uncomfortable,
watching you.
and from uncomfortable to invested. If you feel Maya's quiet strength in this moment, please like this video and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because someone near you might be watching this story too. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional and inspiring stories. Derek stepped
Do you want
closer to
building
Maya,
management called regarding
keeping
this
his voice
incident?
low. Ma'am,
Yes, I believe
do you
that
want
would
me
be
to call
appropriate.
building management? Maya gave him a small, kind look.
I appreciate that, but I'm
Not
fine
yet.
for now. You.
Thank you. Brandon caught the exchange.
Stay out of this.
Don't
and
you
mind
start
your
taking
own
her
business.
side. I'm not taking sides,
As we
sir.
discussed, the terms
Derek
of the settlement
said
are clear.
carefully.
My client
Good.
expects compliance
Because
by
I know
noon.
people here.
What is this nonsense?
Then,
You can't
a dark
seriously
blue
expect us
Lincoln
to agree to
appeared at the
that.
entrance gate.
Yes, Director,
Brandon's
we understand the
expression
terms.
brightened instantly. There he is, he said, straightening his cuffs again. Now you're going to learn what happens when you waste the time of
Mr. Pierce
serious
is here.
people. Maya turned her
As I
head toward
said,
the arriving car.
serious people are now
Jonathan
involved.
Pierce moved with the careful confidence.
I don't
His
care who
eyes
she is.
scanned
She
the
ruined my
scene.
vehicle.
First Brandon, then
We
the
need to
Aston
press
Martin,
charges immediately.
then the Buick. Then he saw Maya. For one brief
Jonathan,
moment, his
perfect
steps
timing.
slowed.
We have a slight
Brandon did not
misunderstanding
notice.
here, but it's all
He
handled
was
now.
already walking toward him with a triumphant smile.
Pierce,
One arm raised as
glad
if
you made
welcoming
it.
cavalry to the
I
battlefield.
want you to legally
Jonathan,
crush her.
he called.
I want her ruined.
Thank God. I want this woman sued into the ground. The crowd leaned in, hungry now for the next turn. Maya said nothing. She only stood beside her father's old car, watching the attorney approach. And Jonathan Pierce, still several yards away, had gone pale. Without a moment of hesitation, the chief attorney, Brandon Cole, paid millions of dollars a year to keep at his command, stepped past him. Jonathan stopped in front of Maya, lowered his briefcase to his side, and bent at the waist in a deep, respectful bow. Madam President, the words fell across the driveway with such weight that even the fountain seemed to quiet for a breath. Jonathan Pierce remained bowed in front of Maya William, his silver hair catching the morning light, his leather briefcase hanging at his side. He did not look at Brandon. He did not look at the crowd. His attention was fixed entirely on the woman Brandon had spent the last 20 minutes trying to humiliate. For the first time since the accident, Brandon Cole had no words ready. His mouth opened, then closed. His eyes moved from Jonathan's bowed head to Maya's calm face, then to the old Buick beside her, as if the three things could not possibly exist in the same reality. A black woman
Madam
in a
President.
faded Buick, a
Madam
top
President.
corporate attorney bowing to her. The words, Madam President,
What did you call her?
still
Tell me
hanging
exactly
in the
what
air like
title
a
you
church
used.
bell after a
With
funeral.
all due respect, sir.
What did you just call her?
That information
Brandon
is
finally
privileged.
demanded. Jonathan straightened
Yes,
slowly.
Madam Chief Executive.
His expression had changed
We will
completely.
proceed
The
as
sharp,
instructed.
polished confidence he usually wore for courtrooms and boardrooms
Yes,
had
Director,
been
we
replaced
understand the
by
terms.
something deeper. Respect, caution, and a trace of alarm. I called her Madam President.
Perhaps she wandered
Jonathan
in from the
said.
staff entrance.
Brandon let out a breathless
Easy
laugh.
mistake with that outfit.
President of what? The Neighborhood Scrapyard Association? No one laughed with him. That seemed to trouble him more than the words themselves. A few minutes earlier, the crowd had been quiet but uncertain.
This is
Now they were
ridiculous.
quiet for a
I've been
different
waiting all
reason.
morning.
Phones
We
stayed
shook on the
raised.
terms yesterday.
Derek,
Let's finalize
the
this
security
now.
guard, had gone still. The older
As we
man
discussed,
with the
the
cane
terms of the
narrowed his
settlement are
eyes,
clear. My client
studying
expects
Maya
compliance by
as
noon.
if trying to
What
place
is
a
this
face he had
nonsense?
seen in
You
business
can't seriously
magazines
expect
but
us to
never
agree to that.
expected to find beside
I pay
an
your
old
firm
car.
a fortune.
Maya did
I
not
summoned you
correct
for
Brandon.
myself, not
She
to
only
honor the
looked at
woman I
Jonathan and
accuse.
gave him a small nod. Mr. Pierce.
You realize how
Jonathan's
expensive this
posture
paint job
softened
is.
at her
You
voice.
absolutely
It's an
totaled my
honor to see
bumper.
you again, ma'am. I
We
only
need to
wish
look
the
at the scrape
circumstances
marks
were
closely.
different. Brandon
The
stepped
angle of the
between them,
impact clearly
red
matches
rising
your
up his
vehicle's
neck.
path. This is
Hold on.
absurd.
Jonathan, I pay
I'm
your
telling
firm
you,
a
I was
fortune
nowhere
every
near
year.
this Buick.
I called you here
It looks like the camera right there
not to stand
captured
around
everything.
bowing
That's
to some
nonsense.
woman who damaged
There
my
is
car.
no way my
Jonathan's
vehicle touched
eyes
this thing.
moved to
You're
the
trying
two
to pin this
vehicles
on
for
me.
the first time with
You
professional
were trespassing
precision.
and pretending you
The
belong
Aston
here.
Martin sat
This is
angled
the
across
VIP
the
lane for
its
investors
front
only.
corner marked.
You need to
The
leave
Buick was parked
immediately.
inside the painted lines.
I want this footage
its rear
deleted right
quarter
now. Do you
scraped where
understand me?
Brandon's car
Mr.
had
Davies,
clipped it.
you will
Then
cease
Jonathan
speaking
looked toward the
immediately.
security camera
That is
above
not
the
an
gate.
option.
I see,
Mr. Harrison,
he said quietly.
I must insist you
No,
cease
you
speaking
don't see.
immediately. You
Brandon
insist.
snapped. She's trespassing.
You forget who you
She
work
hit my
for,
car,
counselor.
and now
This is
she's
completely
pretending she
unacceptable.
belongs
You
here.
cannot park this
Maya's
junk heap
face
here.
did not
This is the
move,
VIP
but
drive, Brandon.
Jonathan's jaw
That is enough.
tightened.
I advise you
Mr.
to stop
Cole,
speaking immediately.
he said,
Brandon,
his voice
that is
controlled.
enough. I
I would
advise you to stop
strongly
speaking
advise you to stop
immediately.
speaking.
But she can't
Brandon
just.
stared at him.
I said immediately.
Excuse
Do
me?
you understand?
I said I would
This
advise you to
negligence
stop
will not be
speaking.
tolerated,
A low
Mr. Cole.
murmur
Now wait
moved
just
through
a moment.
the crowd.
That is privileged
The
information.
young woman with the
I
tablet
can't
looked up
believe she
sharply.
just said that to
Derek's
him.
eyebrows
I
lifted
told you,
before
Jonathan,
he quickly
my money
lowered his
talks.
gaze again.
When I pay you a
Brandon
retainer,
gave Jonathan
you
a
work for
hard
me.
smile.
My
The
professional
kind men
obligation
use when
is
they
to the law,
realize they
Mr.
are
Cole.
being embarrassed and
Let's be
decide
clear,
to call
Brandon.
it disrespect.
This is a professional
You work
engagement,
for me.
not a personal
Jonathan turned
acquisition.
fully toward him.
I am not owned.
No, Mr. Cole. Pearson
Client
Goldman
relationship
has a
covers the
client
vehicle's
relationship
usage,
with your
Mr. Cole.
company.
It does not
That is
transfer
very
ownership.
different
That is
from ownership.
absolutely unacceptable,
You're splitting
Jonathan.
hairs.
We had an
I'm drawing a
understanding.
line. Maya glanced toward the Buick, and for a moment, the morning blurred into memory. She was 9 years old again, standing in front of a small apartment building in Chicago, while her father polished that same Buick with an old cotton towel. The car had been deep blue then, shining under a summer sunset, the pride of a man who had worked overtime for 8 months to buy it used from a retired school principal.
You
Her
deserve to
father
be
had
treated
opened
like
the
royalty,
passenger
Maya.
door for her,
Never forget
as
that.
if he were inviting her into a limousine.
It feels like a
Remember
limo,
this,
Daddy.
Maya, he had
It
said.
doesn't have to be new
a
to
thing
be
doesn't have to be
honorable,
new
Maya.
to be honorable.
What matters is how it was
earned. At
How we
9,
take care of it.
she had not fully understood.
This rusted junk
At 30,
detracts from the investor
standing in front of
experience.
a
Get it
man who
moved.
thought
It's not about the
price
price,
and value
Mr. Cole.
were
It's
the
about the
same
value
thing.
it represents.
She
Perhaps we
understood
can discuss
perfectly.
this inside.
Brandon
I
pointed a
want you
finger
off
at
the
Jonathan.
premises right now.
I called
we are
you to
filing
file
a
suit.
lawsuit for
So file
defamation
it.
and tortious
Property
interference.
damage,
You won't get
trespassing,
away with this, I
fraud.
promise you.
Whatever we can use.
We should review the
Jonathan
security
did not
footage
blink.
before discussing any legal
Before
action.
any legal
Yes,
action is
we need the
discussed,
footage.
the security footage should be reviewed. Maya finally
Reviewing the
spoke.
footage is all I
That is
asked for
all
from
I
the
asked
beginning.
for from the beginning.
You think that
Brandon
camera shows
swung toward her.
everything.
You don't
You
get
think
to
this is
act
some kind of
reasonable
game.
now. She has been reasonable the entire time.
Maya has
Jonathan
been reasonable
said.
the entire
The
time.
sentence landed harder because it came from Brandon's own lawyer. His own expensive
is
weapon
Maya,
had
really?
suddenly refused to fire.
Well,
Brandon's
Mr. Cole,
face twitched.
she's the one
What
who
is
owns the
going on
controlling
here?
interest in your
Who
company.
is she? Jonathan took a breath, but Maya lifted one
Not
hand
yet.
gently. Not yet, she said. Jonathan stopped immediately. That single gesture did more damage to Brandon's confidence than any explanation could have. The lawyer he had summoned like a servant obeyed Maya before she had even raised her voice.
I need you to
Brandon
have
noticed
building
it.
management
So
preserve the
did
gate
everyone
footage
else.
from the last 30
Maya
minutes.
turned to Derek.
Understood.
Could you please ask building management to preserve the gate
I'll
footage
secure
from
the
the
record.
last 30
Don't
minutes?
you dare move from
Derek
that spot.
straightened as
Stand
if
down
someone
now.
had finally handed him permission to do his
Brandon,
job.
control yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Right away. Don't move. Brandon barked at him.
Interfering with
Derek
preservation
froze
of
it for
evidence
half
would
a
be
second.
unwise.
Then Jonathan stepped in. Mr.
This
Cole,
is all evidence.
interfering with preservation of evidence would be unwise. The word evidence changed the air. It made everything Brandon had said feel less like noise and more like a record being written. Derek nodded and hurried toward the booth. Brandon laughed again.
I have an urgent
but the
meeting
sound
upstairs
was
right
thinner
now. Important
This
people
is
are waiting for me.
ridiculous.
Look at the
Jonathan,
time on this thing.
I have a meeting
I
upstairs.
do not have time for this.
Important people are waiting on me. I don't have time for some stage
Important
drama.
people are not
Maya
always
looked
the
at him
loudest
for a long
people in the
moment.
room.
Important people are not always the loudest people in the room. The older man with the cane pressed his lips together, hiding what might have been a smile. Brandon took a step closer
Are
to
you
Maya.
protecting Maya from me?
Jonathan immediately moved
protecting
half a
Brandon
step
from
between
himself.
them. That small movement enraged him. Are you protecting her from me?
I
I'm
assure
protecting you from
the
yourself.
merger is proceeding
Jonathan
as
said.
planned.
For the first
Grandview
time,
Center remains
Brandon's
committed to this
eyes
historic
flickered with
investment.
uncertainty.
You all
He
saw
tried
it.
to
She
cover
hit
it
my
by
car,
turning
and
to
now
the
she won't
crowd.
take responsibility.
You're all seeing
Her lawyer
this, right?
is standing right there,
This
and
woman
they expect
damages
me to
my
pay
car,
for this damage myself.
refuses to pay.
Did you see the
And
damage
now
on the
my
Buick?
own lawyer is acting like she's royalty.
It's quite the
Maya's
spectacle,
gaze
isn't it?
moved across the
She
bystanders.
seems very calm.
Some looked ashamed, some curious, some excited by the drama. Their phones lifted just high enough to record while pretending not to. She understood the temptation of spectacle. People liked justice when it arrived clean and obvious. They were less comfortable when injustice happened slowly, one insult at a time, in broad daylight. Derek
We have the
returned from the
footage.
booth,
It's secured.
holding a small radio in one hand.
Management is pulling the footage, and it will be
now,
ready in 2
he
minutes.
said.
Thank
They
you.
said it'll be ready in a few minutes. Good, Maya replied. Brandon's
I want my
eyes
attorney
darted toward
present
the
when that
booth.
footage is reviewed.
I want my
I will be
attorney
present.
present when that footage is reviewed. Jonathan's voice was flat. I will be present.
my own attorney.
I mean my attorney, Brandon snapped.
The arrangement
Jonathan
may
looked
need
at
to
him
be
for one
reconsidered.
long, terrible second. That may need to be reconsidered. A ripple of shock
What
passed
exactly
through
are
the
you
crowd.
implying, Jonathan?
Brandon heard
Tell
it
me what this
and
means right
stiffened.
now.
What is that supposed to mean? Jonathan
Because
turned
of
to
Brandon's
Maya,
statements
his
and
tone
possible
respectful
conflict
again.
of interest,
Madam
he believes
President,
he should withdraw from
given
advising
Mr.
Brandon in
Cole's
this matter
statements
until
here
review
and
is
the
complete.
possibility of a
A
conflict
proper
of
review
interest,
must be completed
I
before
believe
I
I
can
should
advise you,
formally
Brandon.
withdraw from advising him in this matter
The notice of
until
withdrawal
proper
is
review
effective
is completed.
immediately.
Brandon's face
Withdraw.
went blank.
Withdraw!
Withdraw?
It is noted.
Maya's eyes remained on Jonathan. Noted. Noted? Brandon repeated, nearly
This is my
choking on
lawyer.
the word.
This is my
You don't
contract.
get to
It's
note
my
anything.
case.
This is
Brandon,
my lawyer.
I
my
advise you
contract.
to say nothing
my
further until
case.
you have independent
Jonathan
counsel.
did not raise his voice. Mr. Cole, I suggest you say nothing further until you have independent counsel. The crowd was no longer pretending. Every face had turned toward Brandon. The expensive watch, the polished shoes, the loud confidence, none of it looked quite as solid as it had minutes ago. And yet Brandon still did not understand the ground beneath him had started to move. He pointed at Maya,
Who
though
exactly
his
are you?
hand was no longer steady.
I know you're lying.
I don't care what
Tell
little
me who you
title
really
she
are.
has. I want to know who she really is. Maya looked at the old Buick,
I don't
at the
understand why
scrape
you're so
along its
upset.
side,
It's just a beat-up
at
old
the place
sedan.
where Brandon's arrogance
my
had
people
touched
cut you
her
a check.
father's memory. Then she looked back at him.
You will know who I am
she said
very
calmly.
soon.
Very soon. At that moment, the glass doors of the Grandview Investor Center
The board
opened,
has reviewed the
and three
terms.
executives stepped outside.
The controlling interest
the woman
is
in
now
front
yours,
wore a tailored
effective
cream
immediately.
suit and carried a folder stamped with the gold seal of the Community Development
President.
Capital Fund. Her eyes found Maya immediately. Madam President, she called, loud enough
Miss
for
William,
everyone to hear.
the board is assembled
The board is
upstairs
assembled
and has been
upstairs and
waiting for you.
you.
If you would please
Brandon's
follow
face
me.
drained of color. The woman approached, stopped beside Jonathan, and gave
Angela,
Maya a respectful nod.
Should we delay the investment
Should we delay the
presentation?
investment presentation? Maya turned her gaze back to Brandon Cole.
No.
No, she said.
Brandon and I are
I
ready
think
to
Mr.
begin.
Cole and I are ready to begin.
It's her, the president.
No,
The Community
Maya said.
Development Fund
I think
president.
Mr. Cole and I are ready to begin. For a moment,
I can't believe she's here
nobody
looking
moved.
like that.
The words did not sound
This
dramatic.
is highly inappropriate.
Maya did not raise her voice.
I'll have my
She
assistant
did
handle
not
the
point,
damages first thing in the morning.
accuse, or celebrate the stunned silence that had fallen over Brandon Cole's face. But somehow that made the moment even heavier. Her calmness did what Brandon's shouting had failed
Mr.
to
Cole,
do.
the board has
It
authorized a
commanded the
review of your
space.
commitments.
The
This is
woman in
highly
the cream
irregular,
suit,
Angela. We had an
Angela
agreement.
Morris,
Circumstances have
Chief
shifted. We
Operations
will be in
Officer
touch.
of the Community Development Capital Fund, looked from Maya to Brandon, then to the scraped Buick and the Aston Martin, angled across the lane.
Excuse me,
Her
Madam
expression
President.
tightened
Should we
just
have
enough
security
to show
escort
she
the
understood
developer
something
upstairs
ugly
separately?
had happened before she arrived. Madam President, Angela said carefully, would you like me to have security escort Mr. Cole upstairs separately? Brandon seemed to wake from a bad dream.
Gentlemen,
Wait.
ladies,
Wait
I
a
assure
minute.
you this is all
He
just a
lifted both
massive
hands,
misunderstanding.
forcing out a
There
laugh
seems
that
to be
fooled
some
no one.
confusion regarding
There's
the
clearly
permits.
been some confusion
It was
here.
just a misunderstanding.
Maya looked at him.
Things got
Confusion?
heated and cars were
Yes,
damaged.
Brandon said quickly.
Confusion.
A misunderstanding. That's all. Things
People
got heated.
overreacted.
Cars
People.
were damaged. People overreacted. People? Jonathan Pierce repeated quietly. Brandon shot him a warning look, but the power had gone out of it. Jonathan no longer looked like a man waiting for instructions. He looked like a witness. Brandon swallowed
apologize.
and turned back to Maya.
I honestly didn't realize
Look,
you were
Miss
connected to the
William,
fund.
I didn't realize you were connected to the fund.
We're connected through these investments.
Angela's
I mean,
brows lifted slightly. Maya said nothing.
perhaps
Brandon's eyes
associated is the
flickered from
word.
one face to another, searching for the right
I
word.
didn't know.
The safe word. The word that
I
would put the
honestly had
ground
no
back
idea
under
the
his
woman
feet.
was the president.
I mean, I didn't know you were the president.
His ignorance was
That was
clear.
clear. Maya replied. A few people in the crowd shifted. Someone near the fountain whispered,
It's her, the
President.
president.
The Community
Another
Development
person
Fund
murmured.
president.
Of CDCF? The phones that
I
had
can't
been
believe
held
she's here
casually
looking like
now
that.
rose higher.
Maya,
Brandon noticed
perhaps we should step
and
inside
tried
and
to
talk
lower
about
his
this
voice.
privately.
Brandon,
Can we discuss this
you
privately?
seemed quite comfortable
You were
discussing
comfortable
it publicly
discussing
just
it
a moment
publicly.
ago.
Maya
Look,
said,
this is absurd.
his lips
I'm sure
pressed
we can
together.
resolve this without
the
reviewing
security
tapes.
guard,
The tapes
Derek,
are exactly what we need, Mr.
returned
Cole.
from the booth
Please
again,
proceed, gentlemen.
now accompanied by
Ms.
a
William,
middle-aged building
the manifest
manager
on the
named
tablet
Mr.
confirmed the shipment
Calloway,
arrived, but the
a
inventory
man
count
with
is off
thinning
by
hair,
20%.
a navy
security
vest,
checked the holding area
and the
logs yet?
anxious posture of
The footage
someone
has
whose
been
day had
preserved.
gone wrong
The entire
before
incident
breakfast.
was captured
He
from
held a
both the
tablet
East
in
Gate
both
camera
hands.
and the lobby camera,
Madam President,
confirming the damaged
Calloway
cars as
said,
evidence.
visibly
footage from the
nervous.
security cameras
We
is
preserved
preserved,
the
correct?
footage.
Yes, Miss
The
Williams, it's
system
secured.
captured the
Excellent.
entire incident
Please send copies
from
to
the
Ms.
East
Morris and
Gate
Mr.
camera
Pierce immediately.
and the lobby camera.
I do not
Thank
consent
you,
to this footage
Maya
being
said.
shared. You need my
Please
authorization.
send copies to Miss
Under
Morris
the terms of
and
the
Mr.
active
Pierce.
subpoena, your
Brandon
consent
stepped
is
forward.
irrelevant, Mr. Cole.
Now hold on.
This is
You
private
can't just
commercial
send
property,
footage
Mr.
around
Cole.
without my consent.
As the signage
Calloway
indicates, the
hesitated.
entire area is
Jonathan
under
turned to
surveillance.
Brandon. The incident
Evidence
occurred on
related to a
private
possible
commercial
civil
property
claim
under posted
may be
surveillance.
preserved and reviewed
Evidence
by
related to a
authorized
potential
parties.
civil claim may be preserved
Are you giving
and
legal
reviewed
advice against me
by
now?
authorized parties.
I am
Brandon's face
preventing you
twisted.
from making the
So
situation
now
worse.
you are giving legal advice against me? No, Jonathan said. I am preventing you from making this worse. The older man with the cane made a soft sound, almost a cough.
This situation is
though it might have been a
insane.
laugh hidden out
I
of
came here for
politeness.
a major
Brandon
funding
heard it
presentation,
and
not a
flushed.
roadside spectacle.
This is insane. I came here for a major funding presentation, not some roadside circus. Maya looked at the Aston Martin, still sitting crooked
Shall we
in the
move
lane.
inside?
Then perhaps
We have a lot
should
to
move
cover
inside
regarding
and
your
discuss your
proposal, Mr. Cole.
presentation.
I assure
the
you,
words
we'll be
should
very
have
thorough.
reassured him. Instead, they frightened him. Brandon had spent all morning believing the meeting upstairs was his throne room, the place where he would dazzle investors
The renderings
with
look
glossy
good,
renderings,
but we need to address the tax
projections,
projections immediately.
and promises
I agree.
of luxury mixed-use
The accountability
development.
phase starts
Now
now.
the meeting felt like a courtroom waiting
The board
above
is
him.
prepared,
Angela stepped
with
closer
city
to
office
Maya.
representatives
The board is
upstairs,
prepared.
making the formal
Representatives from the
stakes
city
clear.
office are also upstairs, along with two members from the community lending committee.
Excellent.
Brandon forced
Lead the
his
way,
shoulders
Angela.
back. Good.
certainly mustn't keep
then
them
let's not
waiting.
keep them waiting. He gave Maya
Once
a
everyone
strained
sits down
smile.
professionally,
I'm sure once
my
we sit
project will
down
be
like
seen for what it
professionals,
is.
everyone will
What
see
is
my
it?
project for what it is. And what is it?
This project
Maya
is more
asked.
than just development.
A transformation,
It's a transformation.
he said
We are
quickly,
bringing
relieved
unparalleled
to return
luxury
to
apartments
rehearsed
and a
language.
vibrant new lifestyle
Cedar
to the
Ridge
community.
South will bring luxury apartments,
We envision a
boutique
vibrant
retail,
ecosystem.
wellness spaces,
Boutique retail
and
on the
high-end
ground floor,
dining to an underused
state-of-the-art
corridor.
wellness centers above,
It's exactly
and
the
that
kind
brings
of
us to
investment
community
this city
obligations.
needs.
Specifically,
Maya held his gaze.
how will local
And the
contractors,
local contractors?
be integrated into the
Brandon
branding of
blinked.
this project?
Excuse me?
Determines.
The minority-owned
To ensure
businesses
equitable
listed in the
development, we've
community
allocated
participation
40%
requirement.
to minority-owned
The neighborhood
firms and neighborhood
suppliers.
suppliers.
The affordable
The
commercial
preliminary
units
application
promised in your
specifically
preliminary
outlines the
application.
affordable commercial units.
Something changed behind
We need
Brandon's
to
eyes.
ensure that
It was
commitment
brief,
is met.
but Maya saw it.
Everything is
So
in
did
the
Angela.
packet.
So did Jonathan. Brandon smiled too late.
I look forward to
All
reviewing
of
it.
that is in the packet. I look forward to reviewing it. The old Buick sat behind Maya like a quiet witness as she turned toward the glass doors. For half a second, her hand brushed the roof of the car. The gesture was small, almost private, but Jonathan saw it. Angela saw it too. Brandon did not. He was too busy trying to rescue his image. As they walked toward the entrance, the crowd parted in a way it had not done for Maya earlier. Before, people had watched her as if she were a problem. Now they made room as if proximity to her mattered. That bothered Maya more than she wanted to admit. A title had done in seconds what dignity had failed to do in 20 minutes. Inside the lobby, cool air washed over them. The floor was polished stone. Tall windows poured sunlight across a reception desk, decorated with fresh white lilies. A small cafe stood to the left, where two older men in business casual shirts sat over coffee, staring openly as Maya
Welcome back,
entered
Miss
with
William.
Brandon, Jonathan,
Thank you, Caroline.
Angela,
Gentlemen, let's head
and
upstairs.
building management behind her. The receptionist stood immediately.
Good morning, Miss Williams.
Good morning,
Welcome back to the
Madam
headquarters.
President.
Thank you, Caroline.
Good morning,
It's good
Caroline.
to see you again.
Maya said, remembering her name from
Miss
a
Williams,
previous site visit.
the boardroom is ready for
Caroline's
you on the
face
12th
softened
floor.
with surprise that
We've
someone
prepared
so
everything
powerful
as
remembered
requested.
her. The boardroom is ready on the 12th floor. Thank you.
Your staff
Brandon's
seems
eyes
remarkably
moved
dedicated,
between
Maya.
them,
They are professionals,
unsettled
Brandon.
by the ease of it. This was not the flattery he understood. The kind people offered money because they wanted some of it. This was respect, quiet, and practiced, given to Maya by people who knew exactly who she was. They entered the elevator. Brandon stood in the back corner, no longer filling the space with his voice. Jonathan stood near the doors. Angela checked a message on her phone. Maya watched the numbers climb. For the first time all
If we
morning,
could just review the
Brandon
figures,
spoke
Maya.
softly. Look, Maya.
Ms. Williams.
Jonathan's eyes lifted at the use of her first name. Brandon
I
corrected
realize I may
himself
have come
quickly.
on a little strong
Miss
back there.
Williams,
It's just
Madam
the
President,
timeline is tight,
I admit,
and I'm eager
maybe
to
I
get
came
started.
on strong. Maya looked at him through the reflection in the elevator doors.
Fraud and property damage.
You accused
I
me
was
of
just upset,
trespassing,
Maya. I didn't mean
fraud,
it.
and property damage. I was
I must
upset.
remind you that you mentioned jail.
That was
And
just
you
talk.
also made my skin
You brought up
part
my
of this
skin.
confrontation.
The elevator grew very quiet. Brandon's mouth opened,
I did
but
not
no
mean it
clean
that way.
explanation came out. I didn't mean it like that. Maya turned then, fully facing him. That is
People
what
often
people usually
claim they
say
did
when
not
they meant
mean what they
exactly what
said.
they said.
Only
But
when they regret
who heard it. Angela lowered her phone. Jonathan looked at the floor, not out of discomfort, but because he knew better than to interrupt. The elevator chimed. The doors opened onto the 12th floor, where framed photographs lined the hallway. Ribbon cuttings at community clinics, small business openings,
These training
affordable
programs
housing
are
projects,
impressive.
senior centers,
change everything
job
for these
training
families.
classrooms. The work of CDCF was displayed not as numbers, but as people. An elderly couple standing in front of their first accessible apartment. A young black contractor beside his crew. A Latina bakery owner holding a giant pair of ceremonial scissors. A group of veterans in hard hats at a renovated warehouse. Maya slowed for one picture. It showed her father years earlier, standing in front of a community garage that CDCF had helped save before Maya became president. He wore a work shirt with his name stitched over the pocket. Leonard. Brandon glanced at the photo, not understanding. Maya did not explain. She simply kept walking. At the end of the hall, 2 large wooden doors opened into the boardroom. The room was full. Around the long table sat investors, legal advisors, city representatives, and community committee members. Some were gray-haired veterans of public finance. Some were younger analysts with laptops open. A few recognized Brandon and nodded politely. Then they saw Maya,
Good. We need to
and
ensure
every
the public
conversation
financing is secured
stopped.
before the next
One by
quarter.
one, people
Good morning.
stood.
If
Madam
everyone would please
President,
take their seats, we
said
can
a city
begin.
official. Good morning, Madam President, said an older board member near the window.
Good morning, everyone.
Maya nodded to the
Before
room.
we review the
Good
updated
morning, everyone.
renderings, I want
Please
to highlight
sit.
the revised
Brandon
financial
stood
model
just
and
inside the
community
doorway,
benefits.
his confidence
If we
trying to
direct your
rebuild
attention
itself
back
from
to the
scraps.
projected returns,
This was still his
the square
presentation.
footage alone
He
guarantees a
reminded
40%
himself.
increase
His
by
renderings,
Q4.
his numbers, his project. If he could move the conversation back to money, back to square footage and projected returns, maybe the scene downstairs would become nothing more than an unfortunate opening act. Angela took her seat beside Maya. Jonathan remained standing near the wall, no longer Brandon's shield, but now part of the room's quiet pressure. Maya sat at the head of the table. Only then did Brandon seem to
Good morning.
understand where she belonged.
We're here today to
A younger
discuss Cedar
analyst
Ridge
dimmed
South,
the lights.
a polished
Brandon's
vision for
first
tomorrow.
slide appeared on the screen.
Good afternoon.
Cedar
We
Ridge
appreciate you
South,
taking the time to
a
review our
vision for
proposal.
tomorrow.
We are
He stepped
confident that
forward,
the Springfield Yards
smoothing
project
his
will set a
jacket.
new standard for
Ladies
urban
and
development.
gentlemen, thank
I am
you for your
excited to
time.
present a
I'm
project
excited to
that
present
will
a project
redefine
that will
the city's
redefine
future.
this city's future. Maya watched him begin, her face
We're
unreadable.
looking at
For the
unprecedented
first 5
growth.
minutes,
This
Brandon
luxury
performed
development
beautifully.
means thousands
He
of new
spoke of jobs,
and revitalization
growth,
for
luxury,
the entire
As you can
opportunity,
see,
and
the rooftop
revitalization.
gardens offer
His voice
unparalleled
regained
luxury.
some of its polish.
We are
He
setting a
pointed to
new
glossy
standard for
images
urban
of
living
rooftop
here.
gardens,
We project
elegant
sustained growth
storefronts,
driven by
and
these
smiling
beautiful,
families
clean
walking
brick
past
facades
clean brick
and
facades.
the happy families
The
enjoying
language
them.
was perfect. Too perfect.
As you can see
then
on the
Maya
screen,
opened the folder
allocation
Angela
for
had
Q3
placed before her.
compliance training
On
is
the third
fully
page,
accounted for across
she saw
all
the first
departments.
number that did not
We've
belong.
meticulously vetted
Her
these
eyes
contractors.
paused.
The
A contractor
allocation ensures
allocation
maximum
marked as
efficiency
community
and of course
inclusive
adheres strictly to
had
the
no
inclusion targets we
minority-owned
discussed.
firms listed. A loan
As you
reserve
will see,
intended for
the
local small
adjustments in the vendor
businesses
schedule
had been
allow
reduced
us
by
to
nearly
reallocate the
60%.
capital
A
effectively.
footnote referenced an amended vendor
As
schedule.
you can see from these
but the
schematics,
schedule was missing.
the projected revenue
Maya
for the
turned one
waterfront
page,
development far
then another.
exceeds the initial
Jonathan
capex.
saw her posture change.
As you can see,
Not
the
much,
projected returns
just
justify
enough.
the upfront
Brandon was
cost,
still speaking when
ensuring
Maya lifted her
long-term
eyes.
profitability for the
Mr.
board.
Cole,
Mr.
she
Cole,
said.
The
He
community
stopped
returns are
mid-sentence.
projected to be substantial.
Yes.
page
Madam
42,
President,
underwritten public benefits.
Maya tapped
Explain
the
the
page
discrepancy.
once with her finger.
We are reviewing those figures,
Before we
Madam
discuss
President.
your vision for tomorrow,
Before discussing
I think
his
we
vision
need to
for
discuss
tomorrow,
what happened to the
the room
promises you
needs
made
to discuss
yesterday.
The projected growth
Before we
suggests a
discuss your
massive
vision
return on
for
investment
tomorrow,
by Q4.
Maya
Mark,
said,
this packet
tapping
details
the
last
page
quarter's
once with her
promises,
finger.
not the vision
I
for the
think we
next.
need to discuss what happened to the promises you made yesterday. The room changed in a way no spreadsheet could measure. Brandon Cole's smile stayed on his face for half a second too long. Then it tightened at the corners. The projector still showed his perfect rendering of Cedar Ridge South. All glass
see this as a
balconies,
symbiotic
planted
relationship,
terraces,
bringing
and well-dressed
high-end living and
families
green
walking
spaces
beneath
to the
warm
neighborhood,
afternoon
while
light.
ensuring
But the
robust
picture
returns for the
suddenly
fund.
looked like a painted curtain
Excuse
hiding
me,
a much
regarding
darker
the
stage.
environmental
I'm
liabilities in
sorry,
Schedule T,
Brandon said.
could you clarify the
Careful
scope
now.
of the indemnity
Maya
cap?
looked down at the folder again.
This preliminary
Your preliminary
application is missing the
stated
commitment that a quarter of the
25%
subcontracting opportunities were
would be
reserved for local minority-owned
businesses.
The
I don't
local
see those
minority-owned
firms listed in the
firms are
updated
not
packet.
visible in the
A woman
updated
from the city
packet.
office leaned forward. An older board member adjusted his reading glasses.
Maintenance.
Angela Morris
The
turned to
missing
the same
section
page
is still
in her
in
own
progress,
folder. Her
but we
expression
anticipate
growing still.
completion by end
Brandon
of the quarter.
gave a quick, polished laugh.
Our
That
strategy
section
for
is still in
evolving large
progress.
projects
As
hinges
you
on
know,
refined vendor
large
relationships,
projects evolve.
ensuring
We're
best-in-class
refining
social
vendor
equity
relationships to
safeguards.
ensure quality and
We
reliability.
prioritize long-term quality and reliability above all else.
Maya repeated.
And frankly, not
Yes,
every small
Brandon
contractor
said,
possesses the
gaining
resources.
confidence
We
from
are fully
familiar
committed
language.
to the community
We
benefits
have to be
agreement.
realistic.
However, the
Not every
grants
small
require us to
contractor is
utilize
equipped to handle a
pre-approved vendors
project
for
of
the
this
initial
scale.
phase.
It
Across
appears
the
the loan
table,
reserve for
a
neighborhood
man
small
in his
businesses
60s
has been
wearing a
sharply
brown
reduced.
suit looked up sharply.
If we could just move
His
to the next
nameplate
slide.
read, Reverend Thomas Caldwell,
Look, the data
Community
is clear.
Lending Committee.
This economic
He had the
modeling
patient
shows
eyes
a
of a man
massive
who had spent
revitalization.
decades listening
The
to
slight
people
reduction we've
explain
seen
away
is
injustice
absolutely-
Early
with clean
capital
words.
is being
Maya
reallocated
turned
toward
one page.
infrastructure
The
improvements,
loan reserve
and
for
that community
neighborhood small
lending might
businesses
expand later.
was reduced by 58%.
When exactly will the
Brandon
community
clicked his
lending
remote,
component be
but the
finalized and
next slide
returned?
did not
Well,
help
that's
him.
tied to the successful
It showed
completion
a
of the
projected
infrastructure
economic
phase, likely
impact
in the
map
later
with
stages.
bright circles
The
spreading
later
across the
phase may
city like
begin long
sunlight.
after the first
That's a
phase,
temporary
depending
adjustment.
on market conditions.
We're reallocating early capital toward infrastructure improvements.
In plain
Once
language,
the
the
project
community's money
stabilizes,
disappears today.
community lending
It might
can be
only return
expanded.
years from now,
When?
provided the
Brandon
conditions
paused.
favor the developer.
After phase
This
2,
summary is
and
completely
phase
unfair.
2 begins
Is it
when?
inaccurate?
Depending on market conditions. 18 to 24 months after completion of phase 1. Maya looked at the city representative. So the community money disappears now, and the community may see it again in 3 or 4 years if the market behaves. Brandon's face flushed slightly. That's an unfair characterization. Is it inaccurate? He opened his mouth, then closed it. Jonathan Pierce stood quietly near the wall, hands folded in front of him. He had argued enough cases to recognize the exact moment
Wait a moment.
when a confident
The vendor
man
schedule for
realized
the
the
minority
facts were no
contractor
longer
commitments
decorations.
appears to be missing
They were
from this
weapons.
packet.
Maya turned another page. There's also a missing vendor schedule. Brandon looked toward one of his assistants, a thin young man seated near the far
The
end of
missing
the
vendor
room.
schedule must be a
The
clerical
assistant
error
dropped
on
his
our
gaze
side.
to his
That
laptop.
may be, but
It must
protocol
have been a
requires
clerical
immediate
error,
submission regardless
Brandon
of
said.
internal issues.
Angela's voice
The
entered the
packet
room,
was certified the
smooth but
previous
firm.
night, and the developer's
Mr.
signature
Cole,
is on the compliance
this
statement,
packet was
making
certified
the
by your
omission
office
harder
at
to dismiss.
7:42 last night.
We are missing
Your
the Schedule
signature is
C
on
in
the
our
compliance
packet.
statement.
Confirmed.
The city representative
It is absent
lifted
from
his
my
folder.
copy as well.
Mine has the same omission.
We're
So
talking
does
about
ours,
thousands of new
said Reverend
jobs,
Caldwell. Brandon
significant tax
forced a
revenue
smile.
for the city,
Ladies and
and
gentlemen,
bringing new
with
life to
respect,
this entire area.
We're losing sight
As you
of the
can
bigger
see,
picture.
the corridor itself
Cedar
has been
Ridge South will
significantly
bring
neglected
jobs,
over the
tax
years,
revenue,
requiring
and new life
Who
to a
allowed the
neglected
corridor
area.
to be neglected?
Maya folded her
What
hands
about
on
the
the
people
table.
who actually live in the
Neglected
corridor?
by whom?
Mr. Johnson
The
is
question
72,
sat
he walks
there,
with a cane, and he's
plain
lived there for 40
and
years.
dangerous.
He is not an
Brandon
abstract
blinked.
concept.
Excuse
People own
me?
shops there,
You described
raise
the
children
corridor
there,
as
and
neglected.
build daily lives
But
in the
people
very
live
corridor
there.
the developer
They own
described
shops
as
there.
empty opportunity.
They raise children there.
We've discussed the
They
churches,
attend
the fair
church
lending
there.
requests, and
Some
the
of
years
them
of
have been
contractor
asking for
access
fair
demands.
lending and
So I ask
contractor
again,
access for
who
years.
allowed this neglect to
Maya's
happen?
voice remained
With all due
even.
respect, Madam President,
So when you say
my
neglected,
organization has an
I'm
impeccable
asking
track
who
record.
neglected it.
We've developed
Reverend
similar properties
Caldwell
on
leaned
time
back
and under
slowly,
budget across the district.
watching Brandon
I
with
did not
renewed
come to be
interest.
cross-examined.
Brandon's jaw worked. I didn't come
You
here
came
to be
to ask the fund for
cross-examined.
money.
No, Maya said. You came here to ask this fund for money. The sentence was not loud, but it settled the matter of power in the room. Brandon had arrived believing he was the
Madam
prize.
President, I want to
Maya
formally
had just
address the
reminded
tension
him he
from
was
this
the
morning.
applicant.
I
He
assure
tried
you
another
my
direction.
previous remarks were not
Madam
intended
President,
to offend.
I understand this
What
morning
exactly do
created
you regret,
tension.
Mr. Thompson?
I regret that. Maya's eyes lifted from the file.
I regret the optics of the
What
situation.
exactly do you regret?
I assure
Brandon's
you,
expression
this whole
flickered.
thing has been blown out of
He had
proportion.
expected an opening,
It was merely a
not a
small
doorway with a
misunderstanding
lock
in
on
the
it.
parking structure,
The
nothing more than a
misunderstanding
minor
downstairs.
disruption.
There
Minor
was no
parking lot issue.
misunderstanding.
Again, minor
He
parking
looked
lot
around the
issue.
table,
Now let's address
embarrassed
the
now.
serious
With
accusations of
respect,
environmental
I don't
negligence
think
and breach
the
of
board needs to
contract.
concern itself with
This
a minor
constitutes
parking
a
lot
clear
issue.
pattern of
A
threatened
minor
legal
parking
action
lot
and the
issue.
misuse of the
Maya
legal retainer.
repeated.
We
You
will now
accused
review
me
the
of
evidence
trespassing,
supporting this claim.
fraud, property
developer
damage,
made
and
biased
attempted
remarks about my
extortion.
race and my
You
old
threatened
car
jail.
in front of witnesses.
You attempted to use your legal retainer as a weapon before reviewing evidence, and you made statements about my race and my car in front of witnesses. The room went completely quiet. Brandon's assistant stopped typing.
I understand that
One
my
board
tone
member
was
slowly
inappropriate.
removed his glasses.
It was born of
Brandon's voice
frustration.
dropped.
But
I
that's
said
no
things in
excuse.
frustration. That is not an explanation. It is a
Frustration
confession
is not
of
an
temperament.
explanation,
His
but a
cheeks
confession
reddened
of temperament.
deeper. Maya turned to Mr. Calloway, who had remained near the
Yes,
door with
both
the
camera
tablet.
angles are ready.
Is the footage available? Yes, ma'am, Calloway said. Both angles. Brandon's
not need
head
to play the
snapped
footage.
toward him. We don't need to play
You
that
wanted
here.
witnesses when
Maya
you believed
looked
they
at
would
him.
shame her.
You wanted witnesses. When you believed
The
they
developer
would
cannot
shame
fear
me.
witnesses now
You
that
don't
they
get
may
to fear
reveal him.
witnesses now that they may reveal you. Angela connected the tablet to the boardroom screen. Brandon stood motionless as his glossy rendering disappeared and was replaced by security footage from the driveway
Buick
below.
is perfectly
The
centered in
camera
marked
angle
space.
was high
My
but
client was
clear.
merely
The
attempting to
Buick was
park.
parked
At what
squarely
speed,
within
might
the
I
marked
ask?
space.
The camera doesn't
Brandon's
lie.
Aston Martin entered the frame too fast, turning sharply while his head dipped toward his phone. The front bumper clipped the Buick. The scrape sounded faint but unmistakable through the speakers. No one spoke. The video continued. Brandon got out, shouting. Maya remained in the
doing
vehicle
here?
at first. Then
You
she
can't
stepped
just
out
show up
calmly.
like this. This is
His gestures
completely
grew sharper.
unprofessional.
The footage had no interest in his status,
Please.
his watch, his shoes, or his
The audio
upcoming meeting.
description mentions
It
a
simply
prominent,
showed what
drawn-out, and
happened.
weary sigh
Reverend
from an older
Caldwell
man,
sighed,
but no
not with surprise, but with the tired grief of recognition. Brandon stared at the screen as if betrayal had come not from the people in the room, but from reality itself. Angela paused the footage at the moment Brandon pointed toward Maya's car, his mouth open mid-accusation.
Would you like to
Would you
revise
like
your
to revise
statement
your
regarding the
statement,
security
Mr.
footage?
Cole? He looked at Maya. His anger had not vanished. It had
Look,
only
the
gone
damage to the
underground.
vehicle, I'm happy to
I'll
cover
pay
the
for the
costs.
damage to her vehicle.
The car
Maya
was
studied
never
him.
the only
That
damage.
was never the only damage. He swallowed hard.
I realize I was
Fine.
out of line.
I apologize.
I apologize
The words
for
came
the
out like
incident and
stones,
accept full
forced through a
responsibility.
narrow pipe.
Documents.
Maya did not
An
accept
apology
them.
is not a
Not
receipt
yet.
and
An
cannot
apology
cancel
is not
what
a
was
receipt,
revealed.
she said. It does not cancel what was revealed.
What exactly
Brandon's
do you want
eyes
from me?
narrowed. What do you want from me?
For now,
Maya opened
I
the folder
want
again.
answers, Mr. Dubois.
For now. Answers. She slid one
The
page
contractor
toward
list,
Angela.
the
Start
original
with the contractor
application,
list.
and all
I want
amended
the original
versions.
application, all amended versions, the full vendor schedule.
I need the full
and
vendor
every
schedule
email
and
related to the
every
removal
email
of
related
community
to the removal of
participation
community
requirements.
participation
Brandon
requirements.
stiffened. That's excessive.
But this request
Jonathan
is excessive.
finally
We
spoke
can't
from the
provide all
wall.
of this. I
It is
understand your
standard
concern,
due diligence.
but it is standard
Brandon
due
turned
diligence
on
for
him.
this type of transaction.
Stay out of this.
Stay out of
Jonathan's
it.
face remained
I
calm.
cannot stay silent
I cannot.
anymore.
Not anymore. A quiet knock sounded at the boardroom door. It opened before anyone answered, and a young black woman in a dark green blazer stepped inside, holding a folder tightly against her chest. She looked nervous, but determined. Angela recognized her
wrong?
first. Denise? Angela said. Is something wrong?
Excuse
The woman
me.
glanced
I
at Brandon,
apologize for the interruption.
then at Maya.
I'm the compliance
I'm
officer,
sorry to
Jane
interrupt,
Doe.
Madam President.
We just had a quick
My
question
name
about
is
the
Denise
zoning
Walker.
permits.
I work in project
in project
compliance.
compliance.
Brandon's face changed instantly.
not the time.
This is not the time. Denise flinched, but she did not leave.
We're
Maya
ready for
turned
you.
to her.
Please, go ahead.
Go ahead, Miss Walker. Denise took a breath. I reviewed Mr. Cole's file last week.
The missing
The
vendor
missing
schedule
vendor
was not a
schedule
clerical
wasn't a
error.
clerical
It was
error.
removed after my office
It was
flagged
removed after our
concerns.
That is
office flagged
absolutely not
several
true. We followed
concerns.
all protocols.
Brandon stepped forward.
This material
That
is strictly
is
confidential
confidential
internal information.
material.
I must
Denise
insist you
held the
hand over
folder
that
tighter.
folder immediately.
So were the complaints from the
Complaints
minority contractors who said
were
they were invited to bid,
and then quietly disqualified
disqualified after asking about payment
protections.
protections.
How
The
many
boardroom
complaints are
seemed to
there in
contract
total?
around her words.
We have documented
Maya's
a
face
significant
remained
number,
composed,
starting with
but
the
her eyes
incidents reported
sharpened.
last quarter.
How many complaints?
There
Denise
are 7
looked down at the
formal
folder.
complaints and at least
7
12
formal.
informal
At
ones.
least 12 informal. Reverend Caldwell closed his eyes briefly. Brandon laughed once.
These
too
complaints are just
loudly.
ordinary
This is
frustration from
absurd.
contractors who did not
Disgruntled
win the bids.
contractors complain all the time when they don't win bids. Denise looked at him then.
These documents
The fear in
clearly
her
show the
face was
zoning
still there,
violations on the
but
Meridian
something
project,
stronger
Mr.
had risen
Davis.
through it. One of them did win.
We found that one
Riverside
contractor
Masonry.
did win the bid.
Then your office
However,
changed the
developer's
qualification
office
rules and
subsequently
awarded
changed
the work to a
qualification
company
rules and
registered 3
redirected the
months
work.
earlier by
The
your golf
work was
partner's
awarded
nephew.
to a newly
The silence
registered
that
company
followed was no longer
connected
shock.
to the developer's
It was the
social
sound of a
network.
door opening somewhere no one had planned to go.
The fund
Maya
has decided
slowly
to
closed the
suspend your
folder in front of her.
presentation, effective
Mr. Cole,
Suspend.
she said,
You cannot be serious.
your presentation
we
is
have projections
suspended.
clearly showing the future
Brandon's
revenue.
expression hardened. You can't do that. I can. I just did. He looked around the room, searching for rescue. No one offered it. Maya stood, and everyone seemed to understand without being told that the meeting had changed purpose. It was no longer about funding a development.
Effective immediately,
It
I
was
am
about
ordering all
discovering what had
pending
been
review
hidden
activity
beneath it.
related to the
Miss
development
Morris,
frozen.
Maya
See
said,
to it that the freeze order
freeze
is
all
executed
pending
now.
review activity
Prepare
related to
notice
Cedar Ridge
preserving
South.
all records,
Mr.
communications,
Pierce,
and bids
prepare
connected to the
notice
developer's
preserving
proposal.
all records, communications,
And
bids,
I am expanding the
amendments,
preservation order
and
to
financial
include
transfers
amendments,
connected
all
to
financial
Mr. Cole's
transfers,
proposal.
and all materials
Miss
tied
Walker,
to this proposal.
I'd like your full
See to
report
it that
by
the
this
process
afternoon.
is followed precisely.
Yes,
Madam President.
consider it done.
Angela said. Jonathan nodded. Immediately. Denise
Yes.
breathed out, almost trembling with relief. Yes, ma'am. Brandon stood alone beside his bright, beautiful rendering of tomorrow, watching it dissolve into questions he could no longer control. Maya gathered her papers, then looked at him one last time. This morning, Mr. Cole,
Earlier
you said people like me always have a story ready. Her voice was quiet.
The
But no
room
one
will
missed a
now
word.
hear the stories
Now
the
we're going to
developer
hear the
tried to
stories
bury.
he tried to bury. And for the first time since he had arrived at Cedar Ridge, Brandon Cole looked less like a man who owned the room and more like a man wondering how many locked doors had just opened behind him. Maya's final words remained in the boardroom long after she stepped away from the table. Now we're going to hear the stories you tried to bury. No one rushed to fill the silence. Not the city representative who had arrived expecting a routine funding presentation. Not the board members who had reviewed hundreds of proposals over their careers. Not even Brandon Cole, who had made a living out of speaking first, speaking loudest, and making other people feel late to their own thoughts. Denise Walker stood near the door, still gripping the folder against her chest. Her breathing was shallow, but her eyes had changed. Before she entered, she had looked like a woman preparing to lose her job. Now she looked like a woman who had set down a burden she had carried too long. Maya noticed that. She always noticed the exact moment fear loosened its grip on someone. Miss Walker, Maya said gently, you can sit. Denise glanced at Brandon.
Excuse me,
Maya
Mr.
saw
Cole.
it and turned
Denise
to him.
is speaking.
Mr. Cole,
You will remain silent
you will remain
until she is
quiet while
done.
she speaks. Brandon's face tightened.
This is outrageous. This entire process
You're letting
is
an employee
completely
with
out of
some
line.
personal grievance
And frankly, this
derail
is just a resentful
multi-million-dollar
employee
project.
trying to sabotage
Jonathan
my development.
Pierce stepped forward
Mr.
from
Cole,
the wall.
I must
Mr.
advise
Cole,
you to stop
I
speaking
advise you
immediately.
again to stop
Retain
speaking until you
independent
have
counsel before
independent
proceeding.
counsel. Stop advising
Stop
me.
advising me right
Brandon
now.
snapped.
I'm afraid I already have.
That quiet sentence cut deeper than a shout. Angela Morris moved to the side table and poured a glass of water for Denise. It was a small gesture, almost motherly, but the older people in the room seemed to
Please,
understand
make
it.
yourself
Some
comfortable,
had
Miss
spent a
Walker.
lifetime in offices
It is
where people were
important that
invited
all
to speak
voices
only
are heard
after being
clearly
made to feel
and without
alone.
reservation
A glass
today.
of water,
Miss William,
a chair,
members of
a
the
steady
board.
voice sometimes.
The
Those were
information
first
I'm about
signs
to
that the room
present
had changed
confirms the
sides.
misuse of
Denise
the
sat at the
allocated
far end
funds.
of the table.
She has
Her
worked
hands
in
trembled
compliance
as she
for
opened
9
the folder.
years,
I
reviewing
started in
municipal
compliance
loans,
9 years
grant
ago,
conditions,
she said.
and vendor
Mostly
documentation.
municipal loans, grant conditions,
I am not a lawyer
vendor
or
documentation,
executive,
things
only
like
the
that.
person who
I'm
checks
not a
whether
lawyer.
paperwork
I'm
matches
not an
what
executive.
applicants promised.
I just review whether the paperwork
Your work on
matches
this
what
initiative
applicants
is important,
promised.
Denise.
Maya nodded once. That is important work. Denise's eyes flickered with surprise, as if she had not expected anyone at the
As you
top
can
of the
see,
table to say
the
that.
Cedar Ridge
She
South
continued.
application
When Mr.
originally
Cole's
looked
Cedar Ridge
quite
South
strong.
application first came
Local
in,
hiring,
it looked
minority
strong.
contractor
Local hiring
participation,
promises,
small business
minority
loan
contractor
reserves,
participation,
and community retail units.
small business loan reserves,
project is good.
community retail
It
units.
was good only on
It checked
paper.
every box the fund usually cares about. Brandon gave a bitter laugh. Because
Please
it's a good
continue,
project.
Denise. We are ready
Denise
for the
looked
evidence.
at him, then back at Maya. On paper, yes. That phrase changed the
3 months
temperature in the
after
room.
preliminary review,
Go on,
amendments
Maya
began
said.
arriving.
Denise
Small
pulled out
enough
the
at
first set
to
of
look
documents.
routine, but
3
suspicious
months
in their
after the
pattern.
preliminary review,
Small changes at
amendments
first.
started coming
A
through.
contractor replaced
Small
here,
changes at first.
and a community
A
requirement
contractor
delayed
replaced
there.
here. A community requirement delayed there.
Toppings.
Then
Whole
whole
sections
sections
disappeared.
disappeared.
Neighborhood
reserve for
business
neighborhood
reserves were
businesses was
and
cut.
affordable
The
retail
affordable
spaces
retail
were
spaces were
reclassified
reclassified as premium flexible use units. Several black-owned and Latino-owned contractors were removed from the preferred vendor list.
Based on
Reverend
our review,
Caldwell
the
leaned
removal of the
forward.
contractors is
Were
necessary
reasons
due to
given?
capacity
Yes,
concerns,
sir.
insurance
Capacity
limitations, and
concerns,
associated timeline
insurance
risks.
limitations,
The official reasons
timeline
did not
risks.
hold up,
But when I
because some
checked,
removed
the
firms
reasons
completed
didn't
larger
hold.
jobs,
Some
and
of
one
those
had a
firms
better
had
safety
completed
record than the
bigger
replacement
jobs than
company.
this.
Do you have
One
copies
had a
of
better
the original
safety
and
record
amended
than the
files,
company
Denise?
that replaced
Yes,
it.
I have the originals
Angela's
right
pen
here.
moved quickly across her notepad. Do you have copies of
I
the
made copies of
original
everything.
and amended
You are
files?
not authorized to
Denise
copy those
nodded.
internal documents.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a
That's part
massive
of what's
breach
in
of
here.
protocol.
Brandon's anger returned
What
with
would have
panic
happened
hiding
if
underneath
Denise
it.
had not copied
Those
the
are
documents?
internal documents. She had no right to copy them. Maya looked at him.
The documents
And
would
if
have
she
been
had not
gone.
copied them? He said nothing. Denise swallowed. They would have been gone. The room went still again. Maya's expression remained composed, but her voice
Denise,
sharpened.
could you explain the contents of this email for
Denise
the board?
removed a printed email and slid it across the table.
It came from the wealthy
Angela took it
developer's
first,
office to an
then passed
outside
it to Maya.
consultant.
It came
making
from
the
Mr.
paper
Cole's
trail
development
visible to the
office to
room.
one of our outside consultants.
The email asked
Denise
for the
said.
vendor
It
compliance
asked for the
archive
vendor
to be
compliance
refreshed
archive
before
to be
final
refreshed
review.
before final review. That sounds harmless. But the
As you can
attachments
see, these
named
folders
specific
contain the
folders
original
that
minority
contained the original
participation
minority
documents and all the
participation
complaints.
documents and
If they
complaints.
disappear, we lose
Jonathan
everything.
stepped closer.
When you say
Refreshed,
did you mean
meaning
deleted?
Yes,
Denise
that was
looked
how
down.
the phrase was used.
That's how it
just
was
your
used.
interpretation.
Brandon pointed at her. That is an
I checked the
interpretation.
audit log.
No, Denise said quietly. I checked the audit log. For the first time, her voice did not tremble. Maya studied the email. The language was careful, corporate, clean enough to hide in plain sight. Update. Final compliance materials. Remove superseded drafts. Align documentation with current project scope. She had seen phrases like that before. Not lies, exactly. Something worse. Words designed to let powerful people do
Sin
harm
dressed well
without
enough to
ever
sit
having
in
to
the
hear
front pew.
themselves confess it. Her father used to call that Sunday shirt sin. The kind dressed up well enough to sit in the
Who
front pew.
authorized the outside
Maya
consultant?
set the email down. Who authorized the outside consultant? Denise glanced at Brandon.
Consultants
Maya
are
did
common
not
in large
follow her
projects like
eyes.
this one. It's
She
standard
already
procedure.
knew.
I'll rephrase.
Brandon shifted.
Did you authorize
Consultants
the
are
payment to
common
this
in
specific
projects
shell
of this
corporation?
size.
My
Who
office
authorized
handled the
it?
vendor coordination.
Maya asked
That
again.
was not my question.
My office handled vendor coordination. That was not my question. A few board members exchanged
Yes,
glances.
I approve the consultant.
Brandon saw the movement
It
and
was
forced
handled as
himself
part
to
of
breathe.
normal project
I
management.
approved the consultant as part of normal project
Look at who the
management.
consultant is
Denise
registered
opened
with.
another section of the folder.
An
The
advisory
consultant
group.
is registered to
This goes
Larchmont
deeper than
Advisory
we
Group.
thought.
Angela
The
looked up
advisory
sharply.
group.
That
They
name
handled the
appears in
community
two other
lending
delayed
reviews,
community
too.
lending
Yes, they were
reviews.
involved in both
Denise
of
nodded.
the delayed projects.
Yes. And
The
Larchmont's
advisory
managing
group's
partner is
managing
Brandon's
partner
college
is the
friend,
wealthy
Victor
developer's
Hale.
college friend.
Brandon slammed his palm lightly on the table. Not hard enough to seem
This
violent,
entire
but
testimony
loud
is
enough to
nothing but a
remind
smear
people he
campaign.
wanted control.
Is
This
that
is
your
a smear
official position,
campaign.
Brandon, or
Maya
just your
looked at him
opinion?
for a long second. That
That
phrase
phrase
seems to come
comes
very
easily
easily
to
to
people
people
caught
caught
near
near
evidence.
evidence. His mouth shut. Reverend Caldwell removed his glasses and
If
rubbed
Denise
the bridge
is
of his
accurate,
nose.
the issue
Madam
goes
President,
beyond one
if
proposal
what Miss Walker
and
is saying
suggests
is
community
accurate,
safeguards
this goes
were treated
beyond
as
one
decorations.
proposal. It suggests
That is
the community
exactly what she
safeguards were
intends to
treated
find
as
out.
decorations. That is exactly what I intend to find out, Maya said. Denise turned another page. There's more. Brandon's eyes moved to the folder as if it were a living thing. Denise slid forward a list of businesses.
The
These are
approved
the contractors that
Masonry,
were initially approved.
Jefferson and Sons,
Riverside
Electrical,
Masonry,
Walker and Associates,
Johnson and Sons
Plumbing,
Electrical,
and finally,
East
City
Harbor
Concrete.
Plumbing, Brightline
Black-owned,
Concrete,
Latino-owned,
Carter Women-owned
veteran-owned,
Logistics,
and woman-owned
3
firms
Black-owned,
were all
2
removed
Latino-owned,
before final
1
submission.
veteran-owned,
Henderson
1
and
woman-owned,
Sons.
all removed
Maria
before final
Sanchez
submission.
Concrete.
Maya read
It's
the
more
names
than just a
slowly.
list.
Each one
These are
represented
people.
more than a line item. She saw trucks parked before dawn, payroll envelopes, church donations, daughters answering phones after school, sons learning the trade from fathers who still carried old injuries in their knees and shoulders. Small businesses did not fail
Small
only on
businesses
spreadsheets.
fail at kitchen
They
tables
failed
under
in
bills that
kitchens,
arrive
at
even
dinner
when
tables,
opportunity does
under
not.
the weight of bills
Were
that
the removed
arrived even when
contractors
opportunity
notified?
did not.
Some
Were they
contractors were
notified?
told the project was
Maya asked.
postponed, while
Denise
others were
shook her
told they
head.
lacked capacity.
Some were told the
The
project had been
explanations are
postponed.
completely inconsistent.
Others were told they
One
lacked
contractor was
capacity.
falsely told
One
the
was
city
told
had
the city
raised
had raised
insurance
insurance requirements,
Who
which was
replaced
not
the
true.
removed firms?
Angela's face hardened. Who replaced them? Denise handed over another page. Firms tied to Mr. Cole's network. New companies. Thin records.
How much higher were the
bids.
replacement bids?
The city representative
Between
looked
8
disturbed
and
now.
32%.
Higher by how much? Between 18 and
Unbelievable.
32%.
Premium firms
A board
simply
member
cost
near the
more.
window muttered, "Good Lord."
But this
Brandon
replacement
spread his
company
hands.
didn't even own its
Premium
own equipment.
firms cost more. That's
This
business.
one here, it looks
Premium?
like a pass-through.
Denise
Precisely.
asked, unable
They
to
route
stop
the money,
herself.
obscuring
One of
the
them
actual
didn't
work
own
being
its own
done.
equipment. The younger analyst
You
at
do
the
not
table
know that.
looked up from his
Thanks,
laptop. That would make
They
them a
will know
pass-through.
soon enough.
Jonathan nodded. A company used to route money while someone else
We
performs
need a
the
full
work.
internal review
Brandon
before
pointed
we
at the
meet with
analyst.
the developers team
You
again.
don't know that.
The
Maya
record is
spoke
clear
before
on
the young
this.
man could answer. We will know soon.
begin today.
Her certainty pressed against Brandon like a
project
closing
of this
door.
size cannot
Angela
possibly
leaned toward
be
Maya.
audited in a single
Madam
afternoon.
President, I recommend a full
secure the
internal
records
review
before they
before any
vanish.
further meeting with Mr. Cole's team. Agreed, Maya said. But we begin today.
Issue
Brandon
litigation
laughed,
hold
but it
notices
was
to the
losing its
developers
shape.
company, the
Today,
advisory group,
You can't
and all
audit a
listed
project of this
replacement
size in an
vendors.
afternoon. No.
We need to ensure
Maya
the
said.
preservation order
But we can
covers
secure
all
the
digital
records before they
communications,
vanish.
including
Denise
emails,
exhaled
text messages,
softly.
and the historical
Maya
bid
turned
documents.
to Jonathan. Issue litigation hold notices to Mr. Cole's company,
I will have the
Larchmont
notices drafted
Advisory
within
Group,
the hour.
and all listed replacement vendors.
The investigation
include
is retaliation.
Email, text
Retaliation
messages,
is what
bid
powerful people
documents,
call accountability
internal
when
memos,
it finally reaches
payment
them.
records, and consultant
transactions are
invoices.
frozen, Brandon.
Jonathan nodded. I'll have them
Your
drafted
contacts can't help
within
you
the
now.
hour. Brandon's face went pale under the flush.
If you
This
leave before the
is
records are
retaliation.
preserved, Mr. Cole,
Maya
it will
looked
be
at him
noted.
steadily. Retaliation is what powerful people call accountability.
Are you
when
threatening
it
me?
finally reaches them? The word settled over the
I
table
am
with quiet
documenting
force.
you.
Brandon glanced toward the door, perhaps thinking of leaving, perhaps
yes, sir.
calculating
The
who he could
incident
call.
occurred just after
Maya
midnight.
saw it.
I was on
Mr.
my rounds
Cole,
on the third
she
floor when
said,
I noticed the door
if
was
you
ajar.
leave before we
Well, Miss
finish
Williams,
preserving the
Derek
record,
here believes he saw
that will
something
be
on the
noted.
security logs.
He
Thank
turned
you, Mr.
back
Calloway.
slowly.
Derek,
You're
if you would,
threatening
please
me.
tell us what you
I
found.
am documenting you.
Following the incident,
Angela
sir,
nearly
I
smiled,
checked the visitor log
but
as
kept her face
procedure
professional.
requires.
The boardroom
Mr. Cole
doors
had
opened
inquired
again,
who authorized
and
Miss
Derek,
Williams' access.
the security guard, stepped in carefully,
Maya's access
guided
was
by
cleared
Mr.
under
Calloway.
executive credentials
He looked
before
nervous,
7 in the morning.
standing in a room full of suits and polished wood.
The records indicate
Excuse
that the
me,
access
Madam
for
President,
the developer was not
Calloway
cleared
said.
until later.
Derek
He
has
arrived
something to
early
report.
by completely
Maya
bypassing
turned
the
toward
visitor
him.
staging lane.
Go ahead.
Brandon
Derek
bypassed
cleared his
the lane
throat.
when another
After
vehicle
the incident
exited and came
downstairs,
through the curve too
I checked the
fast.
visitor log because
We have the
Mr.
logs
Cole asked who
confirming
let Miss
this.
William in. Her access
Are
was
you calling
cleared
me a
under
liar?
executive credentials before 7 this morning. Brandon frowned. So, Derek looked at Maya, then at the room. Mr. Cole's
I am
access
only
wasn't
reporting
cleared until
what the gate record
8:46.
shows.
He arrived early and bypassed the visitor staging lane when another vehicle exited. That's why he came through the curve too fast. The city representative sat back. Jonathan made a note. Brandon's eyes flashed.
The issue began with
Are
the
you
damage
calling me
to
a
my
liar?
father's car,
Derek swallowed.
but it has
But he
become
did not
much
back
larger.
down. No, sir.
He hit her
I'm
father's
saying
car
what the
and
gate
mistook her
record
silence
shows.
for weakness.
Maya studied
but the
the young
room is no
guard's
longer
face
discussing a
and
scratch.
gave him a small
It is
nod.
discussing a pattern.
It was not much,
Maya
but
does
it was
not
enough.
have a pattern.
Derek stood straighter. Brandon looked around the table
Based
and
on
saw the same
evidence,
thing in
the
every pair
pattern
of
is
eyes.
undeniable.
Not open hatred.
They do
Not
have
yet.
a pattern.
Something more dangerous to a man like him. Doubt. Maya closed the folder Denise had brought and placed her palm on top of it. Mr. Cole, she said, this began because you hit my father's car and thought my silence meant weakness. But this room is no longer discussing a scratch. We are discussing a pattern. Brandon's voice came out lower. You don't have a pattern. Maya looked at Denise, then at Angela, then at the names of the contractors spread across the table. Yes, she said, we do. Outside the boardroom windows, the city stretched beneath the morning sun. Towers, neighborhoods, roads, churches, repair shops, diners, and old brick storefronts waiting for promises to
collision
become
report
real.
directly contradicts
Somewhere down
Mr.
below,
Cole's statement regarding the
Maya's
timeline.
Buick sat in the
Indeed.
VIP lot with a
The
new scar on
discrepancies
its
are
side.
substantial.
Still within the lines, still exactly where it had a right to be. And for the first time that day, Brandon Cole seemed to understand that the oldest car in the lot might be the least damaged thing he had touched. Brandon Cole did not answer right away. For once, the room did not bend itself around his comfort. No one rushed to soften Maya's words. No one laughed to rescue him from embarrassment. No one offered the familiar, polite escape hatch that powerful men often received when their behavior became too plain to defend. The boardroom simply waited, and the waiting seemed to strip another layer of polish from him. Maya kept her palm on Denise Walker's folder. The papers beneath her hand were ordinary things: printed emails, bid sheets, compliance notes, contractor lists. Nothing about them looked dramatic, yet Maya had learned long ago that injustice rarely entered a room wearing horns. It came dressed in policy language, procurement updates, revised
Given
schedules,
the institutional
and
checks
quiet
required by our
signatures
process,
placed where no one
I recommend
expected
we
a fight.
suspend this session.
Angela Morris closed her notebook. Madam President,
The
I
wealthy
recommend we
businessman's
suspend this
presentation
session
should be
and move
rescheduled
into an
only
internal
after the
review
record is
immediately.
secured.
Mr. Cole's presentation can be rescheduled.
The presentation
after the
will
record
not
is
be
secured.
rescheduled until
It
everyone
will not
understands
be
what
rescheduled
happened.
until we understand what happened, Maya said. Brandon's head snapped
cannot
up.
freeze this
You
project
can't
over a
freeze a
parking lot
project
argument.
over a
Mr.
parking
Cole,
lot
the
argument.
issue is no longer
This
about
is
the
no
parking
longer
lot.
about the
It's about the
parking lot.
disappearing community
It started
promises.
there. He shot back. Let's not pretend otherwise. Maya's gaze stayed steady. No, Mr. Cole. It started when promises
wasn't in
made
the
to a
summary they
community began
provided
disappearing
yesterday.
from your paperwork. A few people looked down
Check
at their
the highlighted
folders.
sections on the
That was how
community
truth
funds.
often worked in a formal room. It
I
made
must
people
request
study
the
documents
authority
they
to
should have
notify
studied
my
harder the
firm's
first
ethics
time.
committee regarding
Jonathan
this
Pierce
conflict of
stepped
interest.
closer to the table. Madam President,
Because of our firm's
I'll need authority
relationship
to
with your
notify
company,
Pierce and
a
Goldman's
clean
ethics
separation
committee as
is
well.
required before
Given my
legal
firm's
action
existing
can proceed.
relationship with Mr. Cole's company
you trying to
and
humiliate
my
me,
role
Jonathan?
here,
I
we need a
am
clean
simply
separation
ensuring
before any
compliance
legal
with the
action
regulations,
proceeds.
Mr. Cole.
Brandon turned on him.
I am not
Ethics
trying
committee?
to humiliate you, Mr.
Are you trying
Cole.
to humiliate
I am
me?
only trying to
Jonathan
follow
did
rules
not
you seem
flinch.
to have forgotten
No.
exist.
I am trying to follow rules
You are
you
making
seem
a
to have
grave
forgotten
error,
exist.
Jonathan. This will
the
cost
words
you
struck
everything.
Brandon
My
hard enough
conscience
to
is
pull
not for
color
sale,
back
Mr.
into his
Cole.
face.
We proceed as
You're
planned.
making a mistake, Jonathan. I
I have made many mistakes.
Jonathan said quietly.
But standing
silent this morning will not be one of them. Maya looked at him then.
You have a
And for a
remarkable
brief
way of seeing
second,
things.
the
Most
boardroom
people just see
faded
the
into
suit.
another memory.
It's been a
12
struggle,
years
honestly,
earlier,
but we're
Jonathan
making it work.
Pierce had not yet been the
I don't know if
famous
I can
lawyer
continue.
people now
The
feared
costs,
across
with my mother's
negotiation
health, it's
tables.
just too much
He had been
pressure.
a tired
We understand,
scholarship
Jonathan.
applicant in
Let's
an
look at the
ill-fitting
options.
suit. Sitting
look like you
across
could
from
use a
Maya
break,
at a
Jonathan.
non-profit luncheon.
We believe in your
Too
potential
proud
here.
to say how close he
appreciate
was to
that.
dropping out of law school.
It's been a long few
Maya
months.
had been only 18 then.
My mother worked
a youth
nights, cleaning
representative
offices.
on a community advisory
And my
panel.
father, he
because
drove the
someone
city
had
bus
noticed how clearly
until his
she
back
could read
finally
people.
gave out.
She remembered him saying that his mother
I
cleaned
sold the
offices at
textbooks to
night,
cover rent.
and his father drove a city bus until his back
I didn't have
gave
a
out.
choice if I wanted
She
to stay in
remembered the
school.
shame in his eyes when he
The
admitted he had
investment made in
sold
me
his
wasn't just
textbooks to
charitable.
pay rent.
It was a commitment to
CDCF had
institutional
funded his
accountability.
final year.
We must
he had never
ensure others
forgotten.
have the same
Now he
opportunity.
stood in a boardroom
If I
beside
ever
her,
get a seat at the
older,
table,
powerful,
I will not
and
pull the
careful
chair
with
away
every
from the
word.
next person.
But Maya still saw the young man who had once promised,
Jonathan,
if I ever get a
prepare
seat
the
at the
notices
table,
immediately.
I won't pull the chair
Angela,
away
I
from
want
the
you to
next
secure
person.
all CDCF
Maya turned
records
back to the
related
room.
to Cedar Ridge South.
Mr. Pierce,
Your documents
prepare
will
the
be
notices.
copied and logged
Miss
under
Morris,
whistleblower protection.
secure all CDCF records related to Cedar Ridge South. Miss Walker,
whistleblower
your
protection
documents will be
policy.
copied and logged by compliance under whistleblower protection.
It is
Denise's
effective
eyes widened.
immediately.
Whistleblower protection?
You had no
Yes,
right to take those
Maya
documents.
said.
She didn't steal
Effective
them.
immediately.
She
Brandon
preserved
gave a sharp
records that were
laugh.
slated for deletion.
Whistleblower? She's
I
an
am
employee
slowing
with
everything
access
down
problems
so
and a personal
everyone can
agenda.
see it clearly.
Denise stiffened, but before fear could take hold again, Maya answered for her. She brought evidence to the proper authority. She stole documents. She preserved records that may have been
If the
targeted for
community lending
deletion.
reserve was
You're
altered after
twisting
city
this.
review,
Maya
her office
leaned
will need
back
to open
slightly.
a parallel inquiry,
No,
adding
I am
another
slowing
layer
it down
of
so
official
everyone
scrutiny.
can see it
Elaine,
clearly.
I think
That
we can both
sentence
agree
seemed
that
to
this is getting
disturb
out of
Brandon
hand.
more
It's
than
Miss
anger
Porter,
would have.
actually.
He understood
We
fights.
adhere strictly to
He
protocol
understood
here.
intimidation. He understood money, favors, leverage, and speed. But slowness frightened him. Slowness gave facts time to breathe.
I request
the
that
city
affected
representative,
contractors be
a woman
notified
named
that the
Elaine
review is
Porter,
reopened.
cleared her throat.
Families have
Madam
waited too
President,
long for a fair
if the
chance.
community lending
Families
reserve
don't
was
build
altered after
developments.
city review,
Only
our
qualified
office will
firms
need to
do.
open a parallel inquiry. Brandon turned quickly. Elaine,
family's
Come on.
own qualified
You know
firms.
how these applications
and that
move.
may be where the
Amendments
file
happen.
first went wrong.
Elaine's expression hardened at the familiarity. Miss Porter will be fine
The
in this
first
room,
step
Mr. Cole.
is
A
to
small
preserve
shift
the
moved around the
evidence.
table. The old way of things. First names used to
Identify every
soften
contractor,
boundaries.
consultant, and employee
Favors
affected by the
implied without
amendments,
being
and the room
spoken
absorbs that the
seemed
investigation is
suddenly less
expanding
safe.
beyond one man's
Reverend
presentation.
Caldwell folded his
Determine
hands.
whether public funds,
I would also request that the
community
affected
lending
contractors
commitments,
be notified
or civil
that the
rights
review is
provisions
reopened.
were misrepresented.
Some of these families have waited
I
a
will
long
coordinate
time
with
for a fair
independent
chance.
outside counsel.
Brandon's voice sharpened. Families don't build developments. Qualified firms do.
I am
Reverend Caldwell
withdrawing
looked
from
at him over his
advising you,
glasses.
Mr. Cole. That
Families
is
own
not the same
qualified
as
firms,
withdrawing
son.
from my duties
That
to the
may
firm
be where your file
or to
first
the
went
truth.
wrong. The word
You will
son
regret
landed with the
choosing
quiet
sides.
authority of age. Brandon
I
looked
chose the
offended,
side of the
but he
record
did not
long
answer.
before today.
Maya stood. The room
The
followed
meeting
her
is
with their
adjourned
eyes.
pending a
We
full
will proceed in
investigation.
3 steps, she said. First, preserve the evidence. Second,
The meeting
identify
cannot end
every
this way.
contractor,
It can.
consultant, and employee
Because I
affected
just
by
did.
the amendments. Third, determine whether public funds, community lending commitments, or civil rights provisions were misrepresented. Jonathan nodded. I'll coordinate with independent outside counsel. Brandon frowned. Outside counsel? I thought you were withdrawing. I am withdrawing from advising you.
You did the right thing,
Jonathan
Denise.
said. I am not
We see
withdrawing
you,
from my
and
duties
we've
to
got
my
your
firm
back.
or to the truth. Brandon's hand curled around the back of a
I should have
chair.
acted sooner.
You're going to regret choosing
Courage
sides.
is not late when
Jonathan's
it arrives in
face
time
remained
to stop
still.
harm.
I chose a side long before today.
How touching.
I chose the side of the record.
My investors are going to have some
Angela stood
serious
as well.
questions about this.
This meeting is adjourned pending investigation.
The questions
Brandon's
will be
eyes
answered
widened.
with documents.
You can't just end it like this.
Can paperwork
Maya
beat
gathered
money?
her folder.
Honest
I can.
paperwork can.
I just did. The
Many
same
people want
words
this
she had
project
used
to happen.
earlier
The
seemed to
capitalist
echo
thing.
differently now.
Many people were harmed
Downstairs,
to make it look clean.
she had been a woman beside an old car. Upstairs, she was the person every other signature depended on. Board members began collecting their papers. Some moved quickly,
He's gonna
eager
call
to escape
everyone
the
he knows,
discomfort.
Maya. This is gonna be a
Others lingered,
crisis. I
their
know,
faces
Angela.
marked by concern,
I expected him to
embarrassment,
protect
or
himself.
calculation. The
And he
younger
will frame the
analyst remained
investigation as
seated,
personal
typing rapidly.
retaliation and
Denise
mention the
stayed still,
downstairs incident.
as
He
if
already
afraid
has.
that moving
He already
too
has.
soon would break the fragile protection
Men
that
like
had
the
formed
wealthy
around her.
businessman rarely
Maya walked
believe
over
they
to
are
her.
guilty.
Miss Walker.
They
Denise
believe
looked up.
they are
Yes, ma'am.
inconvenienced.
You did the right
If the
thing.
wealthy businessman
The young
has
woman
people
pressed her
inside
lips
advisory
together,
or vendor
fighting
firms,
emotion.
records
I
may
should
start
have done it
disappearing
sooner.
before lunch.
Maya's voice softened.
The litigation
People
hold
always
must be
say
sent
that
immediately and
after they
copied to
find
CDCF
courage.
compliance,
But
the
courage
city
is not
attorney's
late
office,
when it arrives
and the
in time to
independent
stop
audit
harm.
committee.
Denise
Now that
nodded,
the legal holder
but
conferred,
tears shone
I'd like
in
you
her
to work
eyes.
with Angela.
Brandon passed
She will
them
help
on his way
structure
toward
the
the door.
process moving forward.
Touching, he muttered.
No one
Very
speaks to the
touching.
young compliance worker
But when
alone,
my
no calls
investors
from the
hear
wealthy
that
businessman,
CDCF is
no
willing to
outside
destroy a
consultant meetings,
project
no
over
hallway
accusations,
conversations, everything through
they'll
compliance.
have questions. Maya turned.
Is she going to be okay?
Then we'll answer
We'll
them
make
with
sure of it.
documents.
Just keep moving.
He stopped. You really think paperwork can beat money? Maya held his gaze. Honest paperwork can. Brandon smiled, but there was no confidence left in it. You have no idea how many people want this project to happen, and you have no idea how many people were harmed to make it look clean. For a second, Brandon's eyes flickered toward Denise's folder. It was quick, but Maya saw it. Jonathan saw it too. Then Brandon walked out. The
I
door
used to think
closed
the work
behind
was
him,
about
and the room
Money,
exhaled.
loans,
Angela came
grants,
to Maya's side.
returns,
He's
and
going to call
compliance.
everyone he knows. Yes, Maya said. He'll try to frame this as personal retaliation.
Your father would be
Yes.
proud.
He'll mention the incident downstairs. He
My
already
father
has.
would probably ask
Angela
whether I had
studied
eaten
her.
breakfast.
You expected this? I expected him to protect himself. Men like Brandon rarely believe they are guilty. They believe they are inconvenienced. Jonathan approached, briefcase in hand. Madam President, I'll need to move fast. If he has people inside Larchmont or the vendor firms, records may start disappearing before lunch. Then
I
don't
demand
wait
to
until
speak to
lunch,
someone in charge
Maya said.
immediately.
Send the
Get
litigation
the operations
hold now.
executive down here
Copy
now.
CDCF compliance, the city attorney's office, and our independent audit committee. Jonathan nodded. Done. Maya turned to Denise. Can you work with
The
Angela
response
today?
did not take long.
Denise nodded quickly.
Agreed.
Yes, ma'am. Good. No one speaks to you alone. No calls from Mr. Cole.
The hold notices
No
are going
meetings
out
with outside
immediately.
consultants. No hallway conversations. Everything goes through compliance. Denise looked relieved and frightened
I also
at the same
notified
time.
my managing partner
Understood.
that the wealthy
The boardroom
businessman's
began
company
to
is
empty.
suspended as a
In the
client,
hallway,
pending
people
ethics
spoke
review.
in low tones beneath framed photographs
I
of
have
completed
spent too many
CDCF
years
projects.
watching wealthy
Maya
men
passed the
mistake
picture of her
retainers
father
for
again
ownership.
and slowed. Leonard Williams stood in that old photo
Thank
with
you
one
for
hand
everything,
resting on the
Jonathan.
hood of a tow
The truth
truck,
matters, Maya.
smiling
We
like a
appreciate
man
your
who had been
courage.
given not charity, but a chance.
I don't care what the
The
market
community
did
garage
yesterday,
behind
Thompson.
him had survived
We had an
because
agreement.
a small loan
Get the
arrived
paperwork
when no bank
finalized
would
by the
listen.
time I get
He had
upstairs,
paid it
or this
back
deal
early,
is dead.
dollar by dollar,
This is clearly a
with
targeted
a
attack,
handwritten
a
thank you
personal
note
vendetta
folded
against
into the
me.
last envelope.
It's ridiculous,
Maya touched
tied
the
to
edge
nothing
of the
more than a
frame.
minor accident
Angela waited a
downstairs.
few steps away,
You assured me the
giving her
merger
the
was
privacy
secure.
of a moment.
I'm looking at a
I used to
seven-figure
think
loss
the work
here,
was
Gary.
about money,
I expect
Maya
this
said
resolved
softly,
immediately.
almost to herself. Loans,
I cannot believe this is
grants,
happening right now.
returns,
I demand that you
compliance.
fix this immediately. I
Angela
don't
said
care what
nothing.
it takes.
Maya looked at her father's face in the photograph, but it
The
was always
president
about
of
who gets
CDCF
believed.
is
Angela's
abusing her
voice was
power.
gentle. Your father would be proud of you. Maya smiled
Should we
faintly.
issue a statement now?
He would ask whether I'd eaten breakfast.
I don't care. Get
That
it done
made
by the
Angela
end of the
laugh
day.
under her breath. The first warm sound of the morning. They moved
Silence
toward the
gives the
elevator.
wealthy businessman
through the
room.
glass wall at the end of
Let
the
him
hall.
fill it.
Maya
His
could
own
see the
words will
parking
reveal
area
him.
far below. The Buick looked small from 12 floors up. A
You may
faded
think you
blue
won
shape
upstairs,
beside a river of polished
but you have
black
started a
sedans and
war.
expensive SUVs. Yet even from that height,
The wealthy
she could see
businessman
the
started
scraped
it when
side.
he thought a
She
woman
felt
in an
again the
old
pinch
car
of
had
grief
no
in her chest.
protection.
Her phone buzzed. A message from Angela's assistant
She
appeared
does
on the
not
screen.
know who she is
Brandon
dealing
Cole,
with.
seen in lobby making
His
multiple
mistake
calls.
was not knowing who he was
Raised
dealing
voice,
with.
mentioned local press and board contacts. Maya read it once and handed the phone to Angela. Angela sighed. That didn't take long. No, Maya said. It never does. The elevator doors opened. Jonathan was already inside, typing on his phone with one hand. Hold notices are going out now, he said. I also notified our managing partners that Mr. Cole's company is suspended as a client, pending ethics review. Angela looked impressed. That was fast. Jonathan's jaw tightened slightly. I have
Thank you,
spent too
Maya.
many years
I truly
watching wealthy
appreciate what
men
you did
mistake
today.
retainers
Of course,
for
Jonathan.
ownership.
Take care.
Maya stepped into the elevator. Thank you, Jonathan.
Miss William,
He looked
truly,
at her,
it is
and for
I
a
who
moment
should
the
be
famous
thanking you.
attorney's formal mask softened. No, Madam President.
This is
Thank
a
you.
disaster.
The elevator
I
descended.
told you this would
When
happen
the
if
doors
we didn't
opened
control
into
the
lobby,
narrative. Get ahead of
Brandon's
this
voice was
immediately or
already
you're
there,
fired.
sharp and agitated near the
I
reception
am
area.
filing a formal
This
complaint
is a targeted
immediately.
attack.
This is
he
clearly
was
a
saying
personal
into his
vendetta,
phone.
using her
A
position over
personal
a minor
vendetta.
accident downstairs.
She's
I don't
using
care what
her
he said, the
position
deal
because
is
of
final.
some minor
Get Thompson
accident
on the line now.
downstairs.
Did you hear
Several
that?
people in the
He
lobby
sounds
pretended
furious.
not to listen.
It's about the merger.
Caroline, the receptionist,
Fix this now,
kept
I
her
said
eyes
now.
on her computer, but her shoulders were tense.
I won't
Derek
lose
stood near
everything
the
because of this
security booth,
oversight.
watching carefully.
So let me be perfectly
Brandon
clear.
turned and saw
Maya's
Maya.
department
His
failed to
expression
deliver,
changed.
and I expect
The performance
accountability for
became
this
sharper,
disaster immediately.
louder. Yes,
The president
he
of
said into the
CDCF
phone,
is abusing her
staring
power,
straight at
turning
her.
a lobby full of
That's
witnesses into a
exactly what
stage
I'm
for his
saying.
defensive narrative.
The president of CDCF
Should
is
we issue a
abusing her
statement
power.
regarding the merger?
Maya did not
They're
stop
pressing for
walking.
details.
Angela leaned closer. Should
We're
we
maintaining
respond?
the current
Not
timeline.
yet. Jonathan
Be careful,
looked
Maya.
concerned. Silence
gives him
him room. Maya's
Let him have
eyes
it.
remained ahead.
Let him fill it.
Let him fill it. Brandon ended the call and stepped into her path.
You may think you won upstairs,
You think
but
you
you
won
have
upstairs,
just started a war.
but you just started a war. Maya stopped a few feet from him.
You started
No,
it
Mr.
when
Cole.
you thought a woman in
You
an
started
old
it when you
car
thought a
had no
woman in an old
protection.
car had no protection. His smile turned cold. You don't know who you're dealing
Maya
with.
does not know who
Maya
she is
glanced
dealing
through
with.
the lobby windows toward the Buick. That
This
was
was
your
his
mistake
mistake that
this morning.
morning.
For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Maya walked past him. And this time, the crowd in the lobby did not wonder whether she belonged there. They watched her pass with the quiet recognition that power does not always arrive in a new car, and justice does not always announce itself loudly at the door. Outside, the morning sun had climbed higher. The Buick waited in its marked space, scratched but steady. Maya
I don't care
rested
about
her
the freeze
hand on
order.
its
You need to
roof
move
once
the
more
assets
before
now.
getting in.
No, tell
Behind
Jonathan
her,
I am handling
Brandon
it.
Cole was still making calls. Ahead of her, the
want
investigation
PR on
had
this
just
immediate-
begun. Maya did not drive away immediately. She sat behind the wheel of the old Buick, with both hands resting at 10 and 2, the way her father
is
had taught her.
unacceptable.
Through the windshield,
I expect this
she could
resolved
see
by the
Brandon
time I
Cole
get
near the
upstairs,
lobby doors,
or there will be
pacing with
consequences.
his phone pressed against his ear.
This
one
is
hand
absolutely
cutting through the
ridiculous.
air as if he
I
could
told you
slice the morning
specifically
into
how this
pieces
needed to
that
be
favored
handled,
him.
and now
He
look
was still
at it.
angry,
Fix it or
still
the deal
loud,
is off.
still convinced that volume could outrun evidence. The Buick smelled faintly of old leather, pine air freshener, and the peppermint candies her father used to keep in the center console. Maya reached down and opened it. The candies were gone now, of course, but the little plastic bag that had once held them was still tucked beneath the registration papers. She had never been able to throw it away. Her phone buzzed in the cup holder.
A temporary
Angela
review room
Morris.
is ready.
We're set up in the temporary
Jonathan
review
is speaking
room,
with independent
Angela
counsel,
said when
and
Maya
Denise
answered.
is with compliance.
Jonathan is already on a call with independent counsel. Denise is with compliance. I think you'll want to see what
I
she
will be
just gave
upstairs
us.
in 5 minutes.
Maya looked once more at Brandon. I'll be up in 5 minutes. Are you all right? The question
Angela
was quiet,
quietly asks
not
whether Maya
professional.
is all right.
Maya let her thumb rest against the steering
am all
wheel,
right.
where the leather had thinned from years of use. I'm all right. Angela waited, hearing what Maya did not say.
I
Then
needed
Maya
this moment
added,
with my father.
I just needed a moment with my father. There was a soft pause on the line. Take it. Maya ended the call and looked at the dashboard.
All right, Maya.
The car was old
We'll
enough
touch
to have
base Monday
knobs instead
regarding
of
the merger.
screens. The radio dial had a scratch near the volume button from the year Maya tried
Don't
to
you worry
change
about the
stations with
radio.
a
Look at
house
all these
key while
wasted
eating fries
fries.
after school. Her father had pretended to be upset
Never
for about
letting
3
anger
seconds
drive the
before
car
laughing and saying,
and letting truth hold
well,
the wheel.
at least you didn't crash us. She almost heard him now. Never let
I don't
anger
care
drive
how it
the
looks.
car,
I need this
baby.
handled now
Let
before
truth
Maya gets
hold
inside.
the wheel.
Yes,
Maya
find him.
breathed out, got out of the Buick, and locked the door. When she re-entered the Grandview Investor Center, the lobby felt different. People who had stared at her before now looked away too quickly or nodded with awkward respect.
Madam
Caroline at the
President,
reception desk stood
I
a
want
little
to
straighter.
apologize for what happened
Madam
outside.
President, Caroline said softly.
Thank
I'm
you for your
sorry
time.
about what
My
happened
brother
outside.
has a small HVAC
Maya
company.
stopped.
He applied
Thank you,
for a vendor
Caroline.
list and
The
never heard
receptionist
back.
lowered her voice.
It's not just
My
about
brother
the numbers.
owns a small HVAC
My brother's
company.
HVAC
He
company
applied for one of
last
Mr.
year,
Cole's vendor
but they
lists
were
last
ignored
year.
while a company
Never
from
heard
2
back.
counties away got
Then
the job
a company
instead.
from 2 counties over got
Would
the
your
job.
brother be willing to speak
Maya
with the
studied her
compliance team,
face.
Caroline? It
Would
could
your
really
brother
help.
be willing to speak with our
I don't know if
compliance
he
team?
can face them, Maya.
Caroline
He's
hesitated.
scared.
The fear was familiar. Jobs, reputations, future contracts. The quiet punishment that rarely left fingerprints. I can
my
ask
brother.
him,
All right,
she
thank
said.
you.
That's all I need for now. Maya continued toward the elevator, carrying Caroline's words with her. That was how hidden numbers became human. A missing contractor line became a brother. A reduced loan reserve became a bakery
We
that
did
never
everything they
opened.
asked.
A
Why
deleted
did the rules
complaint
change?
became a family sitting
I
at the
don't know,
kitchen
honey.
table wondering why the
This new
rules
bill makes
changed
no
after they had
sense.
done everything right.
Prioritize
On the
the
11th
digital
floor,
forensics on the accounts.
Angela
I need
had
that data
converted
now.
a conference
Good.
room into
Angela,
an
have Denise
investigation
analyze
hub.
the metadata from the Q3
Laptops were open
spreadsheets
across the
immediately.
table. Compliance staff moved quietly between stacks of files. Denise sat near the end of the room with a legal pad in front of her and a glass of
Yes,
water
I understand
untouched
the
beside
exposure.
her hand.
We need to finalize the
Jonathan
consent
stood
decree
by the
by
window,
EOD.
speaking in a low
I have to go.
voice
She
into
just
his
arrived.
phone. Maya entered,
Keep
and the room
working.
settled.
There is no
Keep
time
working,
for ceremony.
she said. We don't have time for ceremony. Angela walked over with a folder.
The
Denise
amended
gave us the
financing
amended
model was
financing
provided by
model.
Denise.
The one
The
submitted
version
last
submitted
night was
last
not the
night was
original.
not the original.
Maya
How
opened the
different is it?
folder.
Very.
How different. Very. They moved to the large screen at the front of the room. Angela projected 2 spreadsheets side by side. The original Cedar
Angela,
Ridge South model
look
on
at
the
this
left.
liability
The
entry.
final packet on the right.
It was moved
At
off
first
balance
glance,
sheet
the
entirely.
numbers looked polished. Clean columns, professional formatting, reasonable categories. But Maya had spent her adult life reading what people tried to hide between figures. She saw it almost immediately. The community loan reserve was not just reduced, Maya said. It was redirected.
The money went
Angela
to
nodded.
infrastructure consulting
To
and site
infrastructure
readiness
consulting
fees. And the
and
fees
site
lead
readiness
directly to the
fees.
Larchmont
Denise
Advisory
spoke
Group
from
and
her
connected
seat.
subcontractors.
Those fees go to Larchmont Advisory Group and 2 subcontractors
The
tied to
independent
Larchmont.
counsel is ready to
Jonathan
assist.
ended his call and
We should
joined
review
them.
the scope
Independent
immediately.
counsel is ready to
The
assist.
litigation holds have been
Also,
acknowledged by
the
the
litigation
CDCF,
holds have been acknowledged
the city
by
office,
CDCF
and Pearson
the city
Goldman.
office, and Pearson Goldman.
Cole Urban
no
Properties
response
and
yet from
Larchmont
Cole
have not
Urban
responded.
Properties or
Silence
Larchmont.
itself is a
That
response.
silence is a response, Maya said. A young compliance
Zooming in
analyst
here.
named Robert Chen zoomed
These
in
are
on
the
the
3
vendor
new
table.
vendors that
Look
replace
here.
the community
These
contractors.
3 companies were added after the
pattern
community
is clear.
contractors were removed.
I've never seen these
North Star
companies on a
Site
CDCF
Services,
project before.
Bellwether Logistics,
This vendor list
and
isn't
Grayline
just different.
Structural.
It's suspicious.
Angela folded her arms. I've never seen them on a CDCF project before. Robert clicked through public business records. North Star was formed 8 months ago.
The company was formed only 3 months
Bellwether,
earlier.
11 months.
3
Grayline,
months?
3 months. 3 months? Jonathan said.
The
Robert
company's
nodded.
registered office is
And
only a mail
Grayline's
suite.
registered office is a mail suite. Denise leaned forward.
That's the firm that
That's
replaced
the one that
Riverside
replaced
Masonry.
Riverside Masonry.
Riverside Masonry.
Maya
They
remembered
already
the
won
name
the
from the
bid.
boardroom.
Yes. Page
The
7
contractor that had
confirms it was
already won.
awarded last quarter.
Yes, ma'am, Denise said.
Riverside submitted the lowest qualified bid with
qualified
bonding,
bid.
equipment,
They
references,
had
and everything
bonding,
required,
equipment,
while the team understands that a
references,
capable contractor was
everything.
removed despite meeting the
Then
standard.
Mr.
Brandon's
Cole's
office
office requested a revised qualification review.
and Riverside was suddenly marked high
Riverside
risk.
was
What
marked
basis
high
could
risk.
justify such a change?
On what basis? Denise turned a page.
Insufficient administrative
capacity. Angela gave a humorless laugh. That means nothing.
The vague
It meant
phrase
enough to
was
remove
enough
them,
to remove the contractor.
Denise said. Maya looked at the screen. Who owns Grayline?
Who owns the replacement
Robert typed
company?
quickly.
As you
A
can
state
see on the
filing
ownership
appeared.
line, the
Managing member
member
is
is
Daniel
listed
Mercer.
as Brandon.
Jonathan's brow furrowed. Mercer. That name appears in Cole's golf club donor circle. Angela checked her tablet. Daniel Mercer is the nephew of Victor Hale, managing
Community
partner at
funds
Larchmont.
moved from local
the room
small
was
business
quiet for a
lending
moment.
into
Maya
consulting
stepped
fees.
closer to the screen. So community funds moved from local
As the pattern
small
clearly
business
shows,
lending to consulting
qualified
fees.
minority-owned contractors
Qualified
were systematically
minority-owned
replaced with
contractors
new
were
companies
removed and
tied
replaced
directly
with
to
new
Brandon's
companies
network.
tied to
The
Brandon's
replacement
network.
bids were higher,
The
and
replacement
the paper
bids were
trail was
higher,
cleaned before
and the
final
paper trail
review.
was cleaned before final review. Jonathan's voice was low.
The pattern is not
That
carelessness,
is not
but design.
carelessness. That is design. Denise's hands tightened around her pen.
There is more.
There's more.
There is
Everyone
more.
turned. She pulled a smaller folder from beneath her legal pad. I wasn't sure whether to bring this up yet. It's not fully documented,
I
but
was
I
not
think
sure
it matters.
whether to bring it up because
Maya
it is
walked
not
over
fully
and sat
documented.
across from her.
I want to hear it
Then let's hear
carefully
it carefully.
with respect rather
Denise
than
opened the
pressure.
folder.
These are
Inside
the
were
unofficial
printed
logs.
notes,
People were
dates,
too afraid to file
names,
formal complaints.
and short
The sheer
summaries of
volume here is
conversations.
disturbing.
These are calls
We
I
have to
logged
protect them.
unofficially.
The notes came
Denise
from
said.
people who contacted
People who
compliance,
contacted
but did
compliance
not
but
want
didn't want to
formal
file formal
because
complaints.
they were afraid of
They
being
were afraid of being
blacklisted.
blacklisted. Contractors?
Were the callers contractors?
Maya asked.
Some were contractors,
Also,
but
2
others
former
were
employees
former
at Cole
employees
Urban
of Cole
Properties.
Urban Properties.
One said Mr.
As you
Cole's
can see
team
here,
kept a
this
preferred
partner
list.
list wasn't
But the
based
list
on
wasn't about
qualifications at all.
qualifications.
It looks
It
like
was about
access
who was
depended
connected,
solely on
who
connections.
would keep quiet,
The
and
list
who
favored
wouldn't ask
people who were
questions about
connected,
community
would keep quiet,
requirements.
and would
Angela
not
sat
ask
down
questions
slowly.
about community
Did they
requirements.
mention race? Denise
Was
looked
race mentioned
uncomfortable.
explicitly?
Not
Not
always
exactly,
directly.
but they made
But
some
one
very
former
dismissive
employee
remarks
said
about the new
Brandon
inclusion
complained
rules
that
and equity
CDCF's
targets.
inclusion rules were forcing
Did
him
the
to
former
work with what he
employee
called
provide the
charity
statement in
contractors. Jonathan closed his eyes briefly. Maya's face did
The
not
former
change,
employee was
but
scared
her
because
voice
her husband
cooled.
still works in
Did she
development.
give that
We will
statement
not
in writing?
pressure her.
No.
We will let
She was
independent counsel
scared.
approach properly.
Her husband still works in development.
I think I found
Maya
something
nodded.
else.
We won't pressure her.
Look at these payment
Get her
records.
name to independent counsel. They can approach properly.
As you can
Robert
see,
raised a hand
these
slightly
consulting
from his
fees cleared
laptop.
long before the board
Madam
sign-off.
President,
And the
I
total
found
amount of the
something
transfer
else.
was.
He projected another document.
How much
Payment
is the
schedule.
total?
Larchmont received
total
2
comes to
consulting
nearly
payments
$500,000.
before final approval. That's unusual. How much? Angela
Pre-development
asked.
strategic advisory.
$480,000 total. Jonathan frowned. For a project not yet funded? Robert nodded.
Nearly $500,000
Listed as
before a single
pre-development
shovel
strategic
turned the ground.
advisory.
They promised
Maya
local
looked at
jobs.
the numbers.
The wire
Nearly
transfers cleared months
$500,000
ago.
had moved before a shovel entered the ground, before a local contractor had been paid, before a single storefront had been restored. Money moved
up the
easily
origin
when
now.
it traveled
Got it.
among
The
people who
payments came
trusted
from
one
here.
another to stay quiet.
And the trail
Trace
goes
the
straight to
source,
them.
Maya said. Robert clicked again.
The first
Initial
payment came from
Cole
Urban Properties, and the second from a
payment
bridge
came
loan
from a
account.
bridge loan account. Angela's head lifted. Bridge loan account? Denise whispered.
The bridge loan
That
account
account
was
was
meant
supposed
to
to cover early neighborhood outreach costs. For the first time that day,
The community
Maya's
was promised this
composure
outreach.
shifted enough that
We
everyone
cannot
noticed.
betray the people this
Not
fund was
anger
meant to
in the
serve.
ordinary sense.
We have a moral
Something
accountability
deeper,
here.
controlled,
The intended
but
uses
sharp.
were for meetings with
Neighborhood
local
outreach,
business owners,
she said.
translation
Denise
services,
nodded.
and
Meetings
application
with local
assistance.
business owners.
The funds
Translation
were meant for
services,
contractor
application
workshops for
assistance,
people who had never
workshops
bid
for
on a
contractors
project
who
this
had never
large.
bid on a project this large. And
The
instead,
money went to Larchmont
Maya
instead,
said,
and no
it
one
went to
answers
Larchmont.
because no one needs
No
to.
one answered. No one needed to. Maya stood and walked to the window. From 11 floors up, she could see a stretch of the city beyond Cedar Ridge. Older brick buildings, Small churches,
modest homes,
repair shops,
whose residents hear
a diner
about
with a red
development
awning,
long
a
before
row
they
of
are
modest
invited
homes
to
whose
benefit
residents
from
would
it.
hear about development long before they were invited to
Backbone
benefit from
neighborhoods.
it.
Not
Her father had
glamorous,
called places
and
like
not
that
easy,
backbone neighborhoods.
but essential.
Not glamorous, not easy, but the kind
This is
of
what he
places
meant.
where people lent
Lending
each
a
other
hand,
tools,
looking out
watched
for
each
one
other's
another.
children, brought
It's why the
casseroles after
CDCF
funerals,
exists.
and knew which porch lights meant someone was still awake.
Maya,
Those were the
I
people
apologize for
CDCF was
interrupting,
built to
but
serve.
something significant
Behind
has
her,
occurred.
Jonathan spoke softly. Maya.
Maya,
He
look at
rarely
this.
used her first name
The
in
news
public.
just picked up the
That
story.
told her he was not speaking
We need
as
to decide
counsel.
the next move
She
now.
turned. He held out his phone.
He's already released a
Brandon
statement to the
Cole
business
just
reporters.
released a
He claims the
statement to
financial
3 local
discrepancies are
business
merely an accounting
reporters.
error.
An accounting
Angela
error.
muttered.
This is moving faster
Already?
than we anticipated.
Jonathan read
Cole
from the
Urban
screen.
Properties frames the
Cole Urban
presentation as
Properties is
routine,
disappointed that
and
a
the morning's
routine
incident
development
as personal
presentation was
conflict.
derailed by personal animus following a minor
The company
traffic
claims
incident
commitment to
involving
growth,
CDCF
jobs,
leadership.
and protecting
We
local
remain
business
committed
from
to growth,
political interference.
jobs, and protecting local business from
Brandon
politically
is framing
motivated
the situation
interference.
exactly as
Denise's face
expected,
fell.
showing
Robert
the team
looked disgusted.
recognizing a familiar
Angela shook her
damage
head.
control strategy.
He's framing it exactly how we expected. Maya took the phone and read the statement herself. Every sentence was smooth. Every lie had been dressed in
Growth,
civic language.
jobs,
Growth,
local business,
jobs,
and political
local
interference.
business, political interference. He had learned quickly.
The
or
public
someone
statement
had
is
helped him.
good because
She handed
Brandon
the phone
has made
back.
the investigation
Good,
public before
she said.
knowing what evidence
Angela
we
looked
have.
surprised. Good? He just
Do we
made the
want Brandon
investigation
talking,
public.
or should we
before
let his
knowing
public
what we
narrative
have.
run ahead of the
Jonathan
record?
studied her. You want him talking. I want him
I
confident.
see it now.
Maya
The
returned
payments
to the
to the
table
numbered
and looked
companies
at the
match the
spreadsheets
missing
on the
reserves
screen.
exactly.
The altered numbers.
It goes straight
the
to the
missing
trust.
reserves. The companies connected by
People
favors
like
and
Brandon
family
believe
ties.
stories
People like
belong to
Brandon believe
whoever
stories
speaks
belong to
first.
whoever speaks first, she said.
Let Brandon
Let
speak.
him speak.
They will answer
We
with
will
records.
answer with records. Denise looked at
What
the folder
happens
in
if the
front of
records
her.
are not enough?
And if the records aren't enough, Maya's
If the
gaze
records are
softened.
not enough,
Then
they will find
we
the people behind them.
behind them. At that moment, Caroline from reception appeared at the glass
I'm sorry
door.
to interrupt,
hesitant.
but my brother is downstairs.
Angela opened it.
He's willing to talk
I'm sorry
only
to
if you hear
interrupt,
him yourself, Maya.
Caroline said. My brother is downstairs.
My brother
He
will
says he'll
speak
talk,
only if Madam
but
President
only if
herself
Madam
hears
President
him.
hears him
What is
herself.
his name?
Maya did not
Malcolm.
hesitate. What's his name?
Bring Malcolm to the small conference
Maya
room.
picked up her folder. Bring
want me
Malcolm
there?
to the small conference room. Angela reached for her notebook. Do you want me there?
We'll need
Yes,
Jonathan and
Maya
Denise,
said.
if you're comfortable joining
And
us.
Jonathan.
I
Denise
am ready.
too, if she's comfortable. Denise stood. I am. Maya looked once more at the screen before leaving. The hidden numbers had begun to speak, but numbers could only
The
take
harder
them so
part now
far.
begins.
Now came
Listening
the harder
to the voices
part.
of people who have
The
been told
voices
no
of
so many
people who had
times
been
that they
told no
stopped
so many
expecting anyone
times.
to ask
They
why.
had stopped expecting anyone to ask why. As Maya walked toward the door, her phone buzzed again with another news alert about Brandon's statement. She did not open it. Downstairs, a man who had lost a chance was waiting, and Maya intended to listen. Malcolm stood
guess
in the
the
small
best place to
conference room
begin
with
is
both
with the
hands
Johnson
folded around a
account.
baseball cap, turning it
started
slowly
getting
as if the
complicated
worn
around
brim might
March.
give him courage. He was in his late 40s, maybe early 50s, broad across the shoulders in the way of men who had carried equipment most of their lives. His work boots were clean
We've
but
reviewed
old.
the quarterly reports,
The leather
James.
cracked at the
This
toes.
can't continue.
His company name,
We need a plan of
Harris
action
Family
today.
HVAC, was stitched in white thread across the chest of his navy work shirt. Beside the door, Caroline stood quietly, her receptionist badge still clipped to her blazer, worry written across her face. Maya
you for
entered
making time to
first,
meet with us
followed
today,
by
Mr.
Angela,
Johnson.
Jonathan,
If you'd like to
and
take a
Denise.
seat.
Malcolm's eyes widened when he
I do
saw
not
them
want
all,
trouble.
and he immediately straightened as if he had walked into the wrong room. I don't want any trouble, he said before anyone sat down.
I don't want trouble
Maya
either.
stopped a few
Only the
feet from
truth.
him. Neither do I, Mr. Harris. I want the truth. He looked at her carefully,
We appreciate you coming
trying to
forward.
decide
Everything
whether
is
the
going to be
difference
all right.
mattered.
I hope so.
Caroline
Thank
touched
you.
his arm. Malcolm, it's okay. He gave his sister a tired smile. That's what folks always say right before things stop being okay. Maya understood the line too well. She pulled out a chair but did not sit at the head of the table. Instead, she chose the chair across from him, close enough to listen, not so close as
I
to corner
understand
him.
why we're here.
Please, she said. Sit
We
wherever you're
followed every
comfortable.
procedure
Malcolm
in the book
sat
for that
slowly.
installation.
He placed the cap on the table in front of him. His hands remained near it. Angela opened her notebook. Jonathan set his phone face down. Denise
Your
sat
company
near the
applied
wall,
for work connected
quiet
to the
but
major
attentive.
development project.
It was clear to Maya
Can you
that
explain
Denise
the situation?
recognized this man's
Yes,
fear.
well, what
Different
happened was
industry, same pressure.
we handle all the
Maya leaned
ventilation and
forward
climate control
slightly.
for the retail
Caroline
side.
said your
small
company
has been
applied
around
for
for
work
22
connected
years
to
now.
Mr. Cole's
It started
project.
with just this company is
Malcolm
small
nodded.
but established.
Yes, ma'am.
And that he
Ventilation
took
and
over
climate
after
control
his
for the
father's
retail
stroke.
portion. My company's small, but we've been around 22 years.
So your company
My father
was
started it
formally
with one
invited
truck
to
and a
submit a bid?
toolbox.
Yes, we
I
were.
took over after his stroke. Were you invited to bid?
We filled out
At
the
first,
paperwork for
yes.
insurance,
We went to the
bonding,
workshop,
and references.
filled out the paperwork.
Every requirement they asked
insurance,
for, we provided.
bonding, references, all of it. They
Officials
said they
claimed
wanted
they
local
wanted
firms.
and people
Said they
from
wanted
neighborhoods
people
around
from
the
the
project.
neighborhoods around the project. He gave a short,
We
dry
met at
laugh.
the office. There was
That was
coffee,
the first meeting.
pastries, everyone
Everybody
was
had
smiling.
coffee and pastries. Everybody smiled.
And what
then
happened
what
next?
happened? Angela
The rules
asked.
started moving.
Malcolm rubbed his thumb along the edge of his cap. Then the rules started moving. Maya did not interrupt.
The first
they
moving rule was
said
a higher
we needed a
insurance
higher
coverage
coverage limit.
I paid
We
for
got
it, even though the
cost
cost
me
hurt.
more than I wanted
Just
to
spending money
admit.
to remain eligible
Then
for
they
a
said
chance.
our safety
We
manual
paid a
needed
consultant to
updating.
rewrite the
So
whole
I paid
safety
a
manual.
consultant to rewrite
Then they
it.
wanted proof
Then
of
they said
experience
we
for
needed
larger
proof of
jobs.
experience on a
The
project
standards
of
just kept
comparable
shifting.
scope. I sent them
records
3
from
school jobs and a medical office complex we did in
and the
Oak Park.
responses stopped.
Then they stopped answering.
Who stopped answering?
Jonathan's eyes narrowed slightly.
Michael Brown and
Who
Eleanor
stopped
Vance.
answering? Cole's procurement office. A woman named Tricia at first, then a man named Paul, then no one.
2 weeks
Angela
later,
wrote
a friend
both
at the
names
county
down.
permit office
Malcolm
told him
continued.
another logistics
2
firm
weeks
had
later,
received the
I heard from a
HVAC
friend at
support
the county
package.
permit office that Bellwether
Central
got the
Logistics?
HVAC support
Yeah.
package. Denise
And
looked
the
up
strange
quickly.
part is,
Bellwether Logistics?
they don't do
That's the
HVAC
one,
work.
Malcolm said. Funny thing
actually
is,
performs the work?
Bellwether doesn't do HVAC. They contract it out.
Companies like his
To
are
whom?
used when they want local
Jonathan
firms
asked.
invisible.
Malcolm's mouth tightened.
They told my father
To
if he
companies
didn't
like
sign the
mine,
waiver, they would shut
when
down
they
the
want
whole
us
operation.
invisible. The room went quiet.
How long has
Caroline
this
looked
been going
down,
on?
blinking hard. Maya felt a familiar heaviness settle in her chest. Not surprise. The deeper ache came from how ordinary it all sounded.
Did the
A
replacement
contractor
logistics
invited
firm
to the
contact
table,
you, Mr. Harris?
made
They
to
did.
spend money proving he belonged,
But they said the new
then
terms
quietly
voided our
replaced by a
existing
pass-through
agreement.
that would take a
They
cut
offered
for
me the
standing in the
subcontract,
doorway.
but
Did
the rate was
Bellwether
so low I
contact
couldn't
you?
even pay my crew
Maya
properly.
asked. Yes, ma'am.
I had to turn it down.
Offered me subcontract work
They
at a
wanted me
rate
to
so
perform the
low I
work under
couldn't
their
pay my
name,
crew
their
properly.
paperwork, their credit,
They
and their
wanted me to do
profit.
the job, but
I
under their
refused,
name,
and I wonder if that
their
was
paperwork,
foolish.
their credit,
Refusing
their
was
profit.
dignity,
Malcolm
not
looked
stupidity.
at Jonathan. I told them no. Maybe that was stupid. No, Maya said. That was
My wife
dignity.
had said the
He
same
looked at
thing
her for a
before
long
sitting up that
moment,
night with the bills.
and something in his face shifted. Not relief yet. Relief required safety, but perhaps recognition. My wife said the same thing, he said quietly. Then she sat up that night with the bills. That sentence moved through Maya more than any number on the spreadsheet had. She could see the kitchen table,
Once
the
pride has
envelope
gone to
stacks,
bed,
the
reality needs an
calculator,
answer.
the quiet
My own
math
family
married
history,
couples
my
did after
grandfather's
pride
trade,
had gone
it wasn't
to
so
bed,
different from your
and
struggle.
reality still
My
needed an
father
answer.
also sat at the
My
kitchen
father
table
did
after
that,
long shifts,
Maya said.
choosing
Sat
which
at the kitchen
bill could
table
wait
after
without
long
becoming
shifts,
shame.
figuring out which bill could wait
your father work in the
without
trades?
turning into shame.
He repaired cars,
Malcolm looked at her again,
did some towing,
differently now.
whatever kept the
Your
lights
father
on.
worked trades? Auto repair.
Now that we
Some
have addressed
towing.
the timeline,
Whatever kept the
can you
lights on.
explain the
He
circumstances
nodded,
surrounding the firm's
as if that
removal from
explained
the
something
project
money
in
never
April?
could.
Were
Angela
you
turned a
officially
page in her
told why your
notebook.
firm was removed?
Mr. Harris, did anyone from Cole
What
Urban
have you heard
Properties tell you why
unofficially?
your firm was removed?
A
Not
janitorial
officially.
worker inside the
Unofficially,
developer's office
his jaw
overheard the
tightened.
wealthy developer
A man I
dismissing
know
local contractors
works
as too much
janitorial at
headache.
one of Cole's offices.
Inclusion
Said he
requirements
heard
were
Brandon
allegedly
himself
meant for applications,
say local contractors
not
were too much
construction.
headache. Said the inclusion requirements were for applications,
Did the contact
not
hear anything
construction.
else?
Denise
The
drew
local
in a quiet
contractors were
breath.
called
Jonathan's
decorative
expression
window dressing.
hardened. Did your contact hear anything else? Maya asked. Malcolm hesitated. He said, Brandon called us window dressing. Caroline closed her eyes. Maya let the words sit. Window dressing. People's livelihoods reduced to decoration. Their businesses used to make a proposal look moral until money
possible,
entered
we'd
the
like to
room
ask the
and morality
janitorial
became
contact for a
inconvenient.
statement.
Jonathan
We'll ensure
spoke
their
carefully.
protection, of course.
Would your contact be willing to make a statement?
The contact is
Malcolm
near
shook his
retirement,
head.
supporting a wife
He's
with
63,
diabetes and helping raise a
2
granddaughter,
years from
making
retirement.
the risk of speaking
He's got a
publicly
wife
feel
with
painfully
diabetes
concrete.
and a granddaughter
We will
he helps
not ask
raise.
the contact to
He won't
speak
risk
until we
his
can
job.
protect him.
Maya nodded. We won't ask him to until we can protect him. Malcolm looked
Whatever you tell us
surprised.
in this room is confidential.
Most folks just say they'll protect
We just want to
people.
find out what
I
happened.
prefer to know how before I make promises. That earned the first real
I
trust in
apologize
his eyes.
for interrupting,
A knock
but the
came
team
at the
found
door.
something related to the
Robert Chen
replacement
stepped
logistics
in,
firm.
holding a printed sheet. Sorry to interrupt, Madam
replacement
President.
firm's operations
You asked to be
manager.
updated
Same
on
first name
Bellwether.
you remembered.
We found
Are you
something.
sure?
Maya gestured for him to continue. Robert handed the sheet
That's
to
the
Angela.
operations manager.
Bellwether's listed operations manager is Paul Keene.
The replacement
Malcolm
firm went
sat up.
silent right
Paul,
after this name appears.
That's the name from
The
Cole's
same
office.
person who handled
The one who stopped
contractor
answering.
communications for
Jonathan
the developer
reached for the page.
is now
So
operations
the same
manager
man
at the
who
firm that
handled
replaced the
contractor
contractors.
communications for Cole is
State
now
filings show the
operations manager
replacement
at the
firm
firm that
changed its
replaced them.
address 2 days
Robert
after
nodded.
the revised vendor
And
list
according
was
to
submitted.
state filings,
Where?
Bellwether changed its
The
address
new
2
address is
days
the
after
same
the
office
revised
suite as
vendor
the
list
advisory
was
group
submitted.
tied to the project.
Angela's voice went cold. Where? Robert looked at the page.
Do you have the emails
Same
showing
office
the
suite
moving
as Larchmont
requirements?
Advisory
I
Group.
believe they are in
Malcolm
this
let out a
folder.
low whistle. Lord have mercy. Maya looked at the printed
I
sheet,
printed everything
then back
because
at
my
Malcolm.
wife told me
Mr. Harris,
not to delete
you said the
a
rules
single
started moving.
blessed
Do you
thing.
have the emails showing those new requirements?
I do
He
not
reached
know if
into
it
a
helps.
folder he had brought with him. I printed everything. My wife told me, Malcolm, don't you delete a blessed thing.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Caroline
These
almost
help.
smiled through her worry.
This is the beginning
That
of
sounds like
accountability.
Renee. He handed the stack to Maya. I don't know if it helps. Maya took the pages with both hands. It helps. The first email was polite. The second was technical. The third changed insurance requirements. The fourth requested additional experience documentation. The fifth mentioned delayed review. The sixth had no greeting at all. Just a line saying the procurement team had chosen to move forward with another provider.
We wish
Maya
you the
read
best
the final
in securing
sentence
future
twice.
opportunities.
We appreciate
In
your
securing
interest
future
and encourage you
opportunities.
to pursue future opportunities.
So how much
future
did Harris Family
opportunities.
HVAC
The
spend
softest
trying to
phrase in
qualify?
the room, and
We put
perhaps
in
the
about
cruelest.
$50,000
Mr. Harris,
before the bid.
Maya said.
Between
How much did
insurance
your company
adjustments,
spend trying to
consultant review,
qualify?
and bid
He looked
preparation,
embarrassed.
the cost
Between
came close
insurance
to
adjustments,
$18,000.
consultant review,
The
and
amount
bid
may
prep,
not sound like
close
much
to
in rooms like this,
18,000.
but the
Angela
shame in his
looked up
posture
sharply.
shows how deeply
Malcolm
that
gave a
money
small
mattered
shrug.
to his crew and family.
That may not sound like
The
much
cost
in
sounds
these
like a
rooms.
payroll week.
It sounds like a payroll week.
It was almost 2.
Maya said. His eyes met hers. Almost 2. Caroline wiped at one eye and turned toward the window. Maya placed the emails beside Denise's folder. The case was no longer a neat list of irregularities. It had a face now. Boots. A cap. A sister at the reception desk. A wife named Renee who saved emails because she had learned the world would ask for proof of pain before believing it existed. Jonathan's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his
The wealthy
expression
developer's
darkened.
statement is
What
already
is it?
spreading.
Maya
A local
asked.
station picked
Brandon's
it up,
statement
and they're
is
framing the whole
spreading.
thing as a dispute
Local
after
station
a
picked
parking
it up.
incident.
They're calling it a
developer is
dispute
scheduled to
between a
speak outside the
developer and
building in 20
CDCF
minutes.
leadership after a parking incident. He's scheduled to speak outside the building in 20 minutes.
Is the developer
Angela
downstairs?
stood. He's downstairs? Jonathan nodded. Press is gathering at
Yes,
the entrance.
press is gathering at the
Malcolm's
entrance.
face tightened.
The developer
That man
will
is going to make himself
the
the victim. Yes,
will.
Maya said. He is.
He
Denise
will.
looked worried.
What should
What
we
do we do? Maya looked at the papers on the table.
We keep
Then
listening.
at Malcolm.
Choosing
We keep
evidence
listening.
over reactive
Angela
spectacle.
frowned. Madam
We
President,
need to consider
with
that
respect,
if the developer
if he
controls
controls
the public story first, it will
may
complicate the
investigation. Maya understood the
We are
risk.
committed to bringing
Brandon would
high-quality
stand in
jobs
front of
and
cameras with
sustainable
his
economic
expensive
growth
suit
to the
and
community.
wounded pride.
This
He would speak
project
of
represents
jobs,
the future.
growth, unfair
These
treatment,
emails prove it.
and personal
This
vendettas.
isn't just about the new
People who never
development.
saw Malcolm's
It's a personal
emails would see
vendetta
Brandon's
against my family's
confidence.
business.
And confidence, in America, was too
Let the
often
truth
mistaken for credibility.
hold the
Still,
wheel.
Maya remembered her father's voice. Let truth
Would you be
hold the
willing to
wheel.
give a formal
She
statement
turned
to
to
council
Malcolm.
today?
Would you be willing to give a formal
It's entirely
statement to
your
our
choice.
council today?
Yes, I will.
He looked at Caroline,
Will my
then
statement
back at
actually
Maya.
make a difference?
Will it make a difference?
Not by
Maya
itself,
answered
Malcolm.
honestly. Not by
But it's a
itself.
start.
He nodded slowly,
Together
respecting
with
the
these
truth of
records
that.
and others
But
who may
together
come
with
forward,
the records,
your statement,
Maya
Malcolm,
continued.
can help us open a
And
door
with others
towards
who
a
may come
broader
forward.
movement of witnesses.
Yes, it can help open a
A
door.
locked door
Malcolm
only
looked down
stays
at his
locked
cap.
because
My
everyone
father
thinks
used to
they
say
are
a
pushing
locked
it
door
alone.
only stays locked.
Your
Because
father
everybody
sounds
thinks
wise.
they're pushing it alone.
He
Maya
was stubborn,
smiled
too.
faintly. Your father sounds like a wise man. He was.
The best
Stubborn,
fathers
too.
are often
The best
stubborn.
ones often are. For the first time, Malcolm smiled. Angela's phone buzzed next.
3
She read
more
the
people are
message and
asking
looked
to
up.
speak,
Caroline
including a
says
bakery
3 more
owner,
people
a
are asking
retired
to speak with
electrician,
you.
and a former
A bakery
assistant from
owner,
the developer's
a retired
company.
electrician, and a former assistant from Cole Urban Properties. Maya glanced at Jonathan. He nodded. The door is opening. From somewhere below, faint through the glass and steel of the building, came the muffled rise of voices outside the entrance. Reporters arriving.
The claims
Cameras
made
being
against me
placed.
are baseless.
Brandon Cole.
We will not
preparing
let
to
this
tell the city a
distract from the
story.
important work
Maya
we are doing
stood.
for the city.
Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Angela will make
ensure
sure
his
your statement is taken
properly.
properly.
Jonathan, set up separate rooms for the witnesses.
No witnesses
No
waiting
witnesses
together.
wait together,
No
and
cross-contamination.
cross-contamination.
No
Denise,
pressure.
I need you to help
Denise,
compliance match
help
each name to the
compliance
vendor
match
records.
each name to the vendor records.
They're asking
Angela
for you
was already
downstairs.
moving.
What are you going to do?
And you? Maya looked toward the window. Far below, beyond the edge of the lobby canopy, she could see the shine of Brandon's Aston Martin near the old Buick. Wealth and memory parked side by side. I'm going downstairs,
I'm
she
going
said.
downstairs.
Jonathan's
Do
brows
you
drew
mean
together.
to confront the
To
developer?
confront him?
No, I'm simply
No,
going to talk to him.
Maya said. To listen
I'm
to
going
what lie he
downstairs
chooses.
not to confront
Then
him,
she walked toward
but
the
to
door,
listen to what lie he
carrying
chooses.
Malcolm's emails in one hand and the weight of many missing opportunities in the other.
Mr. Sterling,
Maya
can you
reached the
confirm the
lobby just
reports?
as the first camera light flickered
What about
on
the missing
outside the glass
investments?
doors. Brandon
clients
Cole
aware
stood
of
near
this
the
meeting
curb
today?
between the
I
Aston
want to be
Martin and the
perfectly
old
clear.
Buick.
This incident
exactly
was an
where the
unfortunate
morning had begun.
misunderstanding. We are
But everything
cooperating
around
fully,
him had changed.
and the claims against me
A
are
half
completely
hour earlier,
unfounded.
he had
We are
used
fully
that
cooperating
space
with
like
the
a
review.
stage for
The suggestion
humiliation.
that this is anything but
Now
standard
it had
procedure
become a
is frankly
stage for
insulting.
defense.
Why were the documents
3
filed
local
offshore, Mr.
reporters stood
Sterling?
in front of him.
Mr. Thompson, what is
2
your
with
comment on the
microphones,
Cedar Ridge scandal?
One holding a phone
Did
on
the
a
investors
stabilizer.
know about the risks?
A small crowd had gathered
When will you
behind
release
them,
a statement, sir?
thicker now than
We
before,
are here today to set the
drawn by
record
the promise
straight.
of scandal in a
While the
place that
recent
usually
scrutiny has
kept
been
its troubles
challenging,
hidden
our
behind
commitment
tinted
to our
glass.
partners remains
Brandon had
unwavering.
recovered some
We
of
are
his
fully
polish.
cooperating with the
His
authorities
jacket was
regarding the
straight,
unfortunate
his hair
incident.
smoothed back.
My focus, as
His
always,
voice measured.
remains on our
He
investment
no longer
partners
looked
and their
like the man
security.
who had shouted
We
beside a
understand the
scratched
concerns,
car.
but the
He
Grandview
looked like a
project
businessman
represents a new
wounded by
chapter.
unfairness.
A commitment
Exactly
to progress,
the role he
ensuring
needed the city
everyone
to see.
benefits from this
This
growth.
project
The
was
project
designed to bring
was designed
jobs,
to bring
housing,
jobs,
and economic momentum to
housing,
Cedar Ridge.
and economic
Brandon said,
momentum.
turning slightly so the
This
cameras
minor
caught his
personal
best
incident
angle.
has been
But
unfortunately
unfortunately,
weaponized by some
a
within
minor
leadership.
personal incident this
We are
morning has
addressing
been
this
weaponized
internally
by
as a simple
leadership at
misunderstanding.
CDCF. Maya stopped just inside the doors. Angela stood beside her, breath slightly quick from hurrying down the hall. Jonathan arrived a
I want to
moment
be
later,
clear.
his
These
phone in
allegations
hand,
are
recording
completely
quietly.
unfounded.
Denise remained
We
upstairs
are
with the
cooperating
compliance
fully
team.
with the investigation.
But Malcolm had come
We are
down
committed
too.
to ensuring
He
this
stood near the
project
cafe
benefits the
entrance with
entire
Caroline,
community.
cap
The
held in
partnerships
both
we've
hands,
forged are built on
watching Brandon
transparency
speak to
and mutual
cameras the way
respect.
men like him
Treasure.
always did. With
Given the
confidence
timing,
borrowed from other
Is it
people's
fair to
silence,
say this
a reporter
investigation is
asked,
purely political
"Are you
retaliation?"
saying the
Interesting
investigation into your project
The
is
timing of this
retaliation?"
review raises
Brandon gave
serious
a practiced
questions,
pause.
especially
I'm
as
saying
we
the
are
timing
prepared to
raises
discuss the
serious
transformation
questions.
of this
I
community.
came here prepared
This
to
morning's
present a
incident was an
transformative
unfortunate
development.
vehicle incident involving the
Before
young
the
woman.
meeting,
We are
there was
grateful
an
no one was
unfortunate
seriously
vehicle
harmed and
incident
are
involving
cooperating
Miss
fully.
William.
Let
Within
me
the
be
hour,
clear, the reports
my
are
project was
exaggerated.
suspended.
Within the
He did
hour,
not
the
say he had
suspension
hit
will be
Maya's
lifted
parked
and the
car.
project will
He
proceed
did
as
not
planned.
say he had accused her of trespassing.
We want to thank the
He
individuals
did not
involved
say
for their
anything about her
understanding.
skin,
We are
her
reviewing
car,
our policies
or his
to ensure
threat
a
to have her
welcoming
jailed.
environment for
His
everyone in the
version was not a
community.
direct lie in
The
every
allegations are
sentence.
concerning, certainly,
It was
but
more
let's be clear.
dangerous than that.
Our commitment to the
It was a
community remains
carefully
unwavering,
trimmed hedge
and we
of
expect full
half-truths.
vindication once the
Maya
investigation
watched without
concludes.
moving.
He is skilled
Angela
because
leaned
he
closer.
has had practice.
He's good at this. Yes, Maya said.
What about the vendor
because
records
he's
and
had
community
practice.
lending?
Another reporter
Mr.
lifted
Johnson,
her
what about the
microphone.
concerns regarding
Mr.
vendor
Cole,
records and the community lending
CDCF
commitments?
sources say
Those
there
are
are
merely
concerns
isolated
about vendor
paperwork
records
issues
and
taken
community
completely out
lending
of context.
commitments.
Large
Can you
projects
respond?
always involve
Brandon's
complex
expression
paperwork.
became
Rest
solemn.
assured, these are just ordinary,
Large projects
harmless
involve
vendor
complex
concerns that we are
paperwork.
addressing internally.
It would be
We
irresponsible
must be
to
clear
draw
that these
conclusions
isolated
from
documents are being
documents
deliberately taken out of context
What
by
concerns
those
me
who
is
wish
that this
to undermine our
investigation appears
progress.
to be driven
The
by
investigation
emotion
is driven
rather
by
than
emotion
process.
rather than
Jonathan's jaw
process.
tightened. Maya could feel the old anger pressing at the edges of her calm. Not hot, not reckless, but tired and deep. Emotion. That word had been used against people like her
The
for
process is
generations.
designed to dismiss.
When they spoke too firmly,
When women demand
they were
proof,
emotional.
they are often
when they
simply
demanded
labeled
proof,
difficult,
they were
regardless
difficult.
of the facts.
When they refused humiliation. They were aggressive. And when they uncovered wrongdoing, suddenly the wrongdoing became less important than the tone
We have
of the
always
person
held
who
the
found
deepest
it.
respect for this
Brandon
institution
continued.
and its
I
vital
respect
mission within the
CDCF
community.
as an institution.
Public trust is
I
paramount
respect
to
its
everything we
mission.
do here.
But no organization should allow personal grievance to threaten jobs
and growth for
Behind
working
Maya,
families.
Malcolm made a low sound.
The wealthy
Working
businessman
families,
would not
he
recognize
muttered.
a working
That
family,
man wouldn't know
even
a
if
working
one
family if
repaired
one
his
fixed his air
conditioning.
conditioning. Maya glanced back at him, and despite
Are you
herself,
prepared, sir, to
a
release
small
the
smile
full
touched
vendor
her mouth.
documentation
The
to clear
reporter
this
with the
situation
phone
up?
asked, "Are you prepared to release your full vendor documentation to
I
clear
am
this up?"
prepared to cooperate
Brandon's smile
with
did
any
not move,
fair and
but his
lawful
eyes changed.
review.
"We are prepared to cooperate with any fair
will
and
not
lawful
tolerate a
review.
rushed political
What we
attack."
will not tolerate is a
This really
rushed
means
political
no.
attack," Jonathan murmured. "That means no."
The investment
Maya
center
said
represents
nothing.
a new era of
fourth reporter
prosperity
had
for the
arrived
city,
now,
ensuring
older,
jobs and
with
growth
gray
for everyone
hair and
involved.
a weathered face
We are
that
very proud
suggested
of this
she had
achievement.
covered City Hall
Does the
long enough to
security footage
distrust
show you
beautiful
struck
language.
the main woman's
She stood
parked
slightly
car while
apart
entering
from
the
the others,
property?
notebook in hand. "Mr. Cole," she called.
That's her, the one who broke
"Is
the
it
merger
true
story.
that the security footage shows
Miss
you
Williams,
struck Miss Williams'
can you
parked car
confirm the
while entering
reports
the
regarding
property?"
the offshore accounts?
Brandon's face tightened
It was
almost
merely a
imperceptibly.
minor vehicle
Maya
incident.
turned her head toward the
We are
reporter.
currently reviewing
Angela
the technical
whispered,
aspects of
"That's
the matter
Evelyn Hart from the
internally."
Tribune." Brandon recovered
We don't
quickly.
need the generalized
As I
statement,
said,
sir.
there
Just
was a
tell us,
minor
did you
vehicle
hit the
incident.
parked car?
My understanding is that the situation is being reviewed. That wasn't
Honestly,
my
it's
question.
barely a scratch.
Evelyn said.
What we should
"Did
be
you hit her
focusing
parked
on
car?"
is this
The crowd
magnificent new
stirred.
development
Brandon forced
changing
a
the face
laugh.
of the city.
"Evelyn,
I assure
I don't
you,
think the public
everything
is
was handled
interested in
appropriately
litigating
by
a
my
parking
team.
scrape when we're
But
talking
the
about
public
a
may
project
care
that
whether
could
you are
reshape
honest
an
about the
entire
event
corridor.
that triggered all this.
I think the
Mr.
public
Johnson,
may be
can you
interested in
confirm the
whether you're
reports?
being honest about the event.
What is your relationship
you
to the
say
woman
triggered all
inside?
this. For the
Are the
first
rumors
time,
true, sir? Did you know she
Brandon
would be
looked
here
toward
today?
the glass doors
Let me be
and saw
perfectly
Maya
clear. We
standing
have
there.
absolutely
Their eyes
nothing
met.
to hide.
His expression
Despite
hardened
what
for
you
just
may
a
hear.
second, then smoothed again
Miss
for
Johnson,
the
what is
cameras.
your response to the
I
allegations?
have nothing to hide.
How will this affect
Maya
the
stepped
merger?
outside. Angela moved
Are you
with her,
cooperating with the investigation?
But Maya lifted one
Miss
hand
Johnson,
slightly,
over here. What is your
asking her to
reaction
stay
to the
back.
reports?
Jonathan continued
How will this
recording.
impact the stock price
Malcolm
today?
remained near the doorway
Did you know
with
about this
Caroline,
beforehand?
shoulders squared now, as if
What
watching
is your
Brandon from
response to
behind
the claim
glass
of
had been
personal
harder than
retaliation?
standing in the open. The reporters turned when Maya appeared.
And is this
Cameras
review
shifted.
simply personal
Microphones
retaliation?
lifted. Brandon's mouth
Absolutely
thinned.
not.
"Madam President,"
This is about
Evelyn Hart
accountability.
said, "do you have
I
a
want to be
response
very
to Mr.
clear.
Cole's claim that
My
this
presence
review
here
is
is about
personal
accountability,
retaliation?"
not confrontation.
Maya stopped several
I will
feet
answer
from
your
Brandon,
questions now.
close enough to be heard.
I have no interest in
enough to deny him
retaliation
any chance to
because
claim
retaliation
intimidation.
serves ego,
I have no
while
interest in
accountability
retaliating
serves
against
the public.
Mr. Cole, she said.
Noble.
Retaliation serves ego. Accountability serves the public. The phrase moved through the small crowd like a breeze through dry leaves.
The statement is accurate.
Brandon gave a humorless
Was
smile.
Shopper's accurate?
That sounds noble. Maya looked at
Will
him.
the institution
It is
release
also
the security
accurate.
footage?
A younger
The
reporter
footage
asked,
is preserved and
"Will
reviewed as official
CDCF
record,
release the
clearly
security
showing
footage?
her vehicle
The
was
footage
legally
is being
parked
preserved
when the
and
businessman's
reviewed
car
as part
struck
of the
it."
official record,"
Her interpretation.
Maya said. "It clearly shows my vehicle was
It is the
parked
camera's
legally
interpretation.
when Mr. Cole's car struck it." Brandon interrupted.
While we
"That's
acknowledge
your
the incident,
interpretation."
the focus has
Maya
shifted.
turned toward him.
The structural concerns
"No,
regarding the
that
development
is the
project are
camera's
now under
interpretation."
institutional
A
review.
few people in the crowd
Records
murmured.
presented to the fund
Evelyn's
show
pen
serious
moved quickly.
inconsistencies
Maya continued,
involving contractor
"But the vehicle
participation
incident is
and
not the
community
reason Cedar
lending
Ridge
reserves.
South is under review.
We must ensure
the
these
project is
vendor
under
amendments
review because
guarantee
records
fair
presented to
opportunity.
CDCF
You are
show
just throwing
serious
around claims without
inconsistencies
any context.
involving contractor
I am
participation,
simply describing categories of
community lending
concern.
reserves,
You are damaging my
vendor amendments,
reputation.
and
You
the
damaged
removal
it
of
when you
businesses
confused
that were
wealth with
promised a
immunity.
fair opportunity.
Be very
Brandon
careful.
stepped forward.
You don't want to make
You're
an enemy
throwing
out of
around
me.
accusations without context. I am describing categories of concern.
You publicly
You're
accused
damaging
me
my
here without
reputation.
verifying the facts.
You damaged your reputation
That level of
when you
recklessness
confused
is
wealth with
unacceptable
immunity.
for someone in
His
your
face
position.
darkened.
He
Careful.
accused her of
Jonathan
crimes
took
before
one step
checking
forward.
a single fact and
But Maya
threatened
did
legal
not look
action
back.
before viewing
Evelyn Hart
evidence.
noticed. So did the cameras.
Everyone
Maya's
deserves
voice
context,
remained steady.
including the
Mr.
contractors
Cole,
removed from
you
the
stood in this
project
driveway
without
and
honest
accused me of
explanation.
crimes before checking a single
You are
fact.
deliberately trying
You
this case in
threatened
the
legal
public,
action
turning
before
my
viewing
explanation
evidence.
into a
Now that
spectacle for
evidence
the
is being
cameras.
reviewed, you ask the public to slow down and
We
wait
are
for
here
context.
today because we
I
will
agree.
not allow
Everyone
him to
deserves
try
context.
this matter
That includes the
falsely in
contractors others who
public.
were removed from your project without
said,
honest
honey.
explanation. Brandon pointed toward the reporters. See? This is exactly what I mean. She's trying the case in public.
You people have
Maya
no
turned
idea
toward
what
the
it takes to
cameras.
build something like
No.
this.
I am explaining why we will not allow him to try it falsely in public. The older people in the crowd seemed to feel that one. A man in a baseball cap nodded slowly. A woman near the fountain whispered. Good
I appreciate
for
the
her.
opportunity to
Brandon
speak.
heard it.
It takes
and turned
courage to
sharper.
stand up,
You
but our
people
work
have
speaks
no
for
idea
itself,
what it takes
and
to
it's
build
time the
something.
public heard our story.
Malcolm stepped forward before
I
anyone
own a
could stop
family
him.
HVAC
I do.
company
The reporters turned again.
built by my father
Maya looked
over
back at him.
22 years.
Mr. Harris. Malcolm
The
stood with his
developer's
cap
office
in one
invited us
hand
to
and his
bid,
shoulders
then
set.
made us spend a
I
fortune just
own
meeting their
Harris Family
requirements.
HVAC.
It's nothing but paperwork
22
designed to hide the
years.
true cost.
My father
I was
built it.
dropped and
Your
later
office
offered a
invited
chance
me
to do
bid
the
on
work
Cedar Ridge
under another
South.
company's name.
Made me spend money meeting
This is
requirements.
exploitation.
Then dropped me and offered to let
The
me do
offer
the
was
work
for less
under
than it
another
would cost to
company's
pay
name.
my crew.
For less than it would cost
I
to
do
pay
not
my
know
crew.
who the man is.
Brandon's face twisted. I don't know who you are.
Not knowing
That's
him
the
is
problem,
exactly the problem.
People said.
You never bothered to know the people you were
using. Caroline covered her mouth, eyes shining.
Mr. Johnson, are you
Evelyn
willing to
Hart
go on
moved
record
closer.
with these allegations?
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Are you willing to go on record?
It's time the truth
Malcolm
came out.
glanced at Maya. She did not
Yes, I'll go
nod.
on the record. We have
She
to
did
address
not
this
push.
publicly.
She simply waited.
This is
He looked back
absolutely
at the reporter.
ridiculous. Look at this.
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
totally
I am.
staged.
The
Brandon
testimony
laughed
is not
sharply.
staged.
This is staged.
I have the paperwork
Another
right
voice
here.
came from the crowd. No,
We saw
it isn't.
everything.
A woman in her 60s
I'm Elena
stepped
Rodriguez,
forward,
and my
wearing
bakery, A Sweeter
apron
Tomorrow, has been
beneath a
part of this
cardigan.
community for decades.
My name is Rosa
We formally
Martinez.
applied for one of the small
My
business
bakery
spaces
applied
here.
for one of the
we were
small
told the
business
program was
spaces.
delayed.
They told me
then
the
we
program was
discovered
delayed.
premium retail
Then
units
I saw
advertised
premium
online
retail
for
units
triple the rent.
advertised online
They
for
cut
triple
them
the
from the
rent.
list, just like they
Angela,
did to us.
who had been standing
This
by the
other
doors,
company was
immediately
clearly
took out her
qualified,
phone to
and
alert
now look
compliance.
what's happening.
Then another man spoke.
My nephew's
I'm Earl
company was
Benton,
cut from the same
electrician,
list.
retired now. My nephew's company got cut from that list too. The crowd was changing shape.
These
It was
are the
no longer
faces of the
spectators
people who
watching a
witnessed the
conflict.
events.
It was becoming
We are
witnesses
ready to
stepping
testify.
into daylight. Brandon looked
This is
around.
absurd.
Alarm
Anyone
rising
can
in
just
his
show
eyes.
up and
This
complain.
is absurd. Anyone can show up and complain. Maya faced him.
People can
Yes,
complain, but the
people
real
can
question is why
complain.
so many
The
complaints
question
point in
is
the
why
same
so
direction,
many of their
turning
complaints
scattered
point in the
voices
same
into a
direction.
visible pattern.
Evelyn
Will the
Hart
fund
asked.
open a broader
Madam
investigation
President,
into the misuse of
will
these grants?
CDCF
We
open a
understand the
broader
seriousness of the
investigation?
situation,
Maya
and we are
looked at
committed to
Malcolm,
full
at
transparency.
Rosa,
Yes.
at Earl, at Caroline, at Derek standing near the booth, and finally at Brandon. Yes, she said.
Effective immediately, there will be a full
CDCF
review of the
will
development
conduct a full
project
review of
and
Cedar
all
Ridge
connected
South
vendor,
and any connected
consultant,
vendor,
and lending
consultant,
records.
and lending records.
Affected
We
contractors
will
and
invite
applicants will be
affected
invited to submit
contractors and
documentation, and
applicants to
employees who come
submit
forward will be
documentation.
protected, giving
We
the
will
witnesses a
protect
visible path
employees who
from
come
fear into
forward.
official record.
And we will not approve
Not
$1 until
will
the
be
truth
approved
is clear.
until the truth
Brandon's
is
mouth
clear.
opened, but no words came. For the first
What
time
about
all
the impact
morning,
on the local
the
economy?
cameras
We were
not
promised
centered
steady
on
work,
him.
but the
They were on
contracts
the
were
people
pulled
he had
without
counted
notice.
on
And these
remaining
documents
invisible.
prove they diverted
Jonathan
the
leaned
funds.
toward
They
Angela.
need space for intake because
We
this
need
is going to
space
grow.
for intake.
Yes,
This
I
is
need the
going to
second
grow.
floor training rooms
Angela
opened
nodded.
immediately for
I'll
overflow.
open the second floor training rooms.
We need to move the
Maya
press corps
heard
back
them,
now.
but her eyes stayed
How
on
do you
Brandon.
respond to the victim, sir?
His confidence
This
had
is a
begun
public
to crack
space.
in
You
public
can't stop
now.
us.
Not because she had shouted
This
louder,
is my territory,
but because
lady.
the room he
You
thought
are
he
way
owned
out of
had
your depth.
expanded beyond
I
his
suggest
control.
you reconsider
Brandon
your next
stepped
move
closer
very
and
carefully.
lowered his voice.
You have
so
no
only
idea what
Maya
you just
and
started.
the nearest microphones could catch
I know
it.
exactly what I started.
You have no idea
and
what
I'm
you
ready
just
for
started.
what comes next.
Maya answered just as quietly.
I think I finally do
No,
know
Mr.
what has
Cole.
started.
I think I finally do.
Give me rewrite. This is
Behind
breaking.
him, Evelyn Hart
The
was
name is
already
Johnson.
speaking
I'm the
into her
contractor
phone.
on site.
Malcolm was giving his name to a producer.
Is this the evidence?
And Rosa
What does this mean for the
Martinez was
merger?
pulling folded documents from
This
her
shows
purse.
the Community
The story
Investment Fund
Brandon
was
had tried
redirected.
to control was no longer
need to
his
expedite
alone.
the internal
Maya
review
turned
process.
back toward the building.
Understood.
The old
I'll have the
Buick
team prepare
remained
the
parked
access
in its
logs
space,
immediately.
scarred but steady,
By
like a
noon,
witness that had waited long
hidden
enough.
numbers have
By
become
noon, the hidden numbers had become
and
human
by
voices.
evening, those voices
By
will
evening,
become a file.
those voices
We are
would become a
documenting
file.
entry at
And somewhere
12:35
inside
p.m.
Brandon
All
Cole's
evidence is
polished
secured
empire,
under legal hold.
people would
Do
begin
not attempt to
deleting
delete
things they
anything
should have
else.
known were already
confirm
preserved. Then, she straightened, turned back toward the building, and prepared to finish what the truth had started. The days that followed did not bring the kind of justice people imagined from movies. There was no single gavel strike, no instant collapse, no dramatic march from the courthouse steps. Real accountability moved more slowly than outrage. It arrived through certified letters, frozen accounts,
We've cross-referenced the
subpoena
insurance
notices,
notes. Please confirm the
insurance
asset
calls,
freeze is in place by
ethics
end of day.
reviews, board meetings, and quiet conversations in rooms where men who once spoke loudly began asking whether their attorneys had arrived. By the end of the first week, Cole Urban Properties had
You're not
lost its
just seeking
preliminary
repayment.
approval for Cedar Ridge South.
You're rebuilding the
Larchmont
entire
Advisory
process
Group was
for those
suspended
who were
from all
discarded.
CDCF-related work pending investigation.
Details the suspicious
Meridian
movement
Civic
right here, Governor's
Strategies,
grant line item.
the firm that had
Thank
been
you, Ms.
quietly
Morris.
swallowing money
This is
meant for
deeply
neighborhood
concerning.
outreach, became the subject of a formal referral to state financial regulators. The city attorney's office opened its own review. 2 council members who had praised
recent
Brandon's
polls show a
project on
significant
television
shift in public
suddenly
opinion regarding
claimed
the
they had
proposed
always
ethics
supported
reforms.
transparency.
Transparency becomes
Maya did
popular
not
once the
laugh
lights
when
are
Angela
already
read
on.
that last part aloud. She only said, "Transparency is very popular once the lights are already on." Angela smiled tiredly. They were sitting in Maya's office late on a Thursday evening, surrounded by file boxes and half-empty coffee cups. Outside the windows, Chicago
Furthermore, the
glowed
revised
in
statute
gold
clearly
and steel
delineates the
beneath a
reporting
summer
requirements for the
sunset.
independent counsel.
The office
The
smelled
accountability
faintly of
measures are
paper,
stringent,
coffee,
particularly Section
and the
4,
lemon
subsection
oil
B.
the cleaning crew used on the conference table after everyone went home. Jonathan Pierce sat across from them, tie loosened, reading through the latest update from independent counsel. Denise Walker had been formally placed under whistleblower protection and temporarily transferred away from
This
any
timeline
chain of
confirms
command
the Shell
connected to the
Corporation was
Cole
active
review.
before the first
Bethany
payment.
Clark
The
had
funds
given
went
a
straight
full
through these
statement.
Exactly
Robert
as the
Chen
witness described.
had mapped 3 more
Thank you, Mr.
pass-through
Harris. We'll get
vendors
this
linked to
processed.
Larchmont. Malcolm
Martinez,
Harris,
if you could just sign
Rosa
on this line
Martinez,
here.
Jamal Price,
I have my documentation
and others
right here.
had begun submitting claims for review. It was progress, but progress, Maya knew, did not erase what people had lost. She looked down at Malcolm's file. $18,000 spent trying to qualify for a chance that had never been honestly available. 2 payroll weeks.
Restitution
A kitchen table.
alone is not
A wife
enough.
named Renee saving
public
emails
trust
because
demands
trust had become
structural
too
repair.
expensive.
I
Restitution
am thinking
alone
about
won't be
the
enough,
people who were used
Maya
to make
said.
this proposal
Jonathan
look
looked
good
up.
and then discarded
Legally,
when the money
it
moved.
may be what we can secure first.
You're
I'm
not just seeking
speaking legally.
repayment.
Angela leaned
You're
back
rebuilding
in her
the
chair.
entire
You're
process
thinking
for
about
those who
rebuilding
were
the process.
discarded.
I'm thinking about the people who were used
Honest
to make a
developers will
proposal look
adjust,
good and then
while
discarded
dishonest
when the
ones
money
will
moved.
complain.
Maya closed Malcolm's file. We need an emergency
Maya's
contractor
father
restoration
would have appreciated
program,
the plan.
application support, bonding assistance, legal clinics, bid transparency,
practical restoration
and
plan
every
includes
project
application
receiving
support,
CDCF
bonding
funds from this
assistance,
point
legal
forward
clinics,
must publish
transparent
vendor
bids, and
changes
real-time
in real
vendor
time.
changes.
Angela
the new
nodded
rules will
slowly.
upset developers.
That will upset developers.
Good actors
Good.
will adapt,
Honest
while
ones
dishonest
will
ones
adjust.
will resist.
Dishonest ones will complain. Jonathan almost smiled.
My father would ask
Your father
who was
would have
paying
liked
for the
that.
plan.
Maya's hand moved to the silver watch on her wrist. My father would have asked who was paying for it. That made Angela laugh, softly, but warmly. Then we answer him, Maya said.
If money
Recovered
was
funds,
taken from the
penalty
community,
reserves,
money
and
returns to
suspended
the
consulting
community.
fees. If money was taken from the community, money returns to the community. By the second week, the public story had changed. Brandon's interviews disappeared from the front page, replaced by headlines about vendor manipulation, deleted records, and a public fund president who refused to let a parking lot confrontation distract from a deeper
Praise and
system of
insult
exclusion.
both risk
Evelyn
making
Hart's
people
Tribune
forget
article
the
ran
work.
on a Sunday morning under the headline, "The Old
Good morning.
Buick,
Welcome to the
scratched
Riverside
Aston
Community
Martin,
Hall.
and
Please
the paper
sign in
trail
and grab some
behind Cedar
coffee.
Ridge South." Maya read only the
You'll want
first
to make sure you
paragraph.
have your EIN
Then
number
she folded
ready.
the paper and
Okay,
set
I
it
have that in my
aside.
folder.
She had
Perfect.
never
Just
trusted
attach it right
praise
here.
any more than insult. Both could make a person forget the work.
Welcome,
At
Renee.
Riverside
Malcolm,
Community Hall,
thank you both so much for coming
CDCF
today.
held
It's
the
our
first
pleasure, Maya.
restoration
We're happy
meeting
to
on a
be
bright
here.
Saturday morning.
My abuela
This
insisted
time,
I bring her
there
apple
were no
turnovers. She
cameras
said
at the
they have
front.
magic.
No dramatic
Well,
screen
thank your
glowing
abuela
behind
for
the
us. They look
speakers.
wonderful.
No wealthy man
Go ahead,
performing
Andre, you got this.
victimhood before microphones. There were folding
Just
tables,
one step at a
coffee
time.
and paper cups, trays of bagels and fruit, and elderly
We'll walk through this
volunteers from
together.
Reverend
See where it
Caldwell's
says
church
applicant
helping business
information?
owners fill out
You
forms.
can start right there.
Malcolm Harris arrived with Renee, a woman with kind
We'll
eyes
go
and
through
a
this
firm
together,
handshake.
step by step.
Rosa
Go
Martinez
ahead and sign
brought
right there
pastries
where
from
I'm
her
pointing.
bakery, refusing to let CDCF pay for them. My
you go.
grandmother would haunt
Help
me if
yourself
I
to a
came to a
pastry,
meeting
too.
empty-handed.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Rosa said. Maya smiled. Then we thank your grandmother, too. Jamal Price brought his apprentice,
Mr. Darnell.
a
My
19-year-old
dad wanted
named
you to take a look
Andre,
at the
who had never
transmission.
been inside a
All right,
funding
Maya, let's
workshop
see what we can
before,
do.
and looked at the paperwork as if it
Sooner
were
is
written
not
in another
always the
language.
measure.
Maya watched
That
Denise
speaking
sit
when the
beside him
door
and explain the
opens
first
matters.
page without making him feel foolish. That,
So how do we
Maya
stop the
thought,
pass-through
was what
companies from
access looked
undercutting
like.
us on the bids?
Not a speech, not a
city's new
slogan.
bonding assistance
A chair
program
pulled
covers up
close.
to 50.
A pen
reminds
handed
me of
over.
the church
Someone
basement
saying,
right after the storm.
"Let's go through it."
Everyone's tired,
together.
but
Near
the
the back of
coffee's
the
on.
hall, Derek, the security
It's
guard,
incredible
stood
to see
awkwardly
everyone
in
pulling
plain
together,
clothes
Reverend.
until Caroline
This
waved him
is how
over to the coffee
communities
table.
survive.
He had given a formal statement about the gate records and had worried all week that someone might retaliate. Instead, building management had commended him for preserving evidence. "You did right," Malcolm told him, clapping a hand on his shoulder. Derek looked embarrassed. "I should have spoken up sooner." Maya, passing nearby, heard him and stopped. Sooner is not always the measure. Sometimes the question is whether you speak when the door opens.
I expected to find you
Derek
by the
nodded,
car.
and for a moment his eyes
been reading
shone.
people for too
By
many
noon,
years.
the hall was full of voices. Not angry
Brandon
voices,
is trying to
though
negotiate
anger had earned its
cooperation,
place.
and Victor
These
is
were working
already
voices,
distancing himself.
planning voices, voices
Inevitably.
asking about bonding requirements,
Businesses do not
insurance
die
pools,
from truth,
apprenticeship
but from what
programs,
truth exposes.
minority vendor certification, and how to keep pass-through companies from
The
stealing
board didn't
work
just terminate the
while
retainer,
pretending
Maya.
to create
They
it.
launched a full
Reverend
internal
Caldwell
ethics
watched
policy
from the
review this
side with
morning.
both
A
hands
review.
resting on his
I
cane.
appreciate you telling me, Jonathan.
Sounds like a
Thank you.
church basement
I just
after a
remembered a
storm,
young woman who
he
helped a
said
law
to Maya.
student stay in school.
Everybody wet, everybody
Justice
tired,
shouldn't belong only
but
to
somebody's
those born
already
near
making
power.
coffee. That may be the most American thing
I
I've
was
heard all
young
week, Maya said.
and did not
He
know
chuckled.
much.
It's how communities survive.
She did an
Late that
amazing job
afternoon,
presenting our
after
case.
the last folder
stop.
had
We
been
all played a
collected
part.
and the last coffee urn emptied,
But yes, I'm
Maya
thrilled with the
walked
outcome.
outside alone. Her
This
Buick
is the
was
part I
parked under an
wanted,
old
not the
maple tree
hearing,
near
but
the
the
edge of
after
the
the
lot.
hearing moment,
The scrape on
where
its
people
side
are
had
still
not yet
here
been
together.
repaired. Jonathan had offered to arrange it. Angela had insisted she knew a body shop that could do the work in 2 days. Maya had thanked them both and done nothing. Not yet. She ran her fingers lightly over the damaged paint. The roughness caught against her skin. Behind her, footsteps approached. Jonathan stopped a respectful distance away. "I thought I might find you here." Maya did not turn. "You've spent too many years reading people. Occupational hazard." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Jonathan said,
Grief does
Brandon's
not always
counsel
fade, but
contacted
becomes part of
independent
the instrument
investigators.
panel. Something
He is
you learn
trying to
drive with
negotiate
while checking
cooperation.
mirrors and keeping your
Of
hands
course
steady.
he is. Victor Hale is already distancing himself. Of course he is. Cole Urban Properties may not survive this. Maya looked at the Buick's reflection in the sunlight. "Businesses do not die from truth, Jonathan. They die from what truth exposes." He nodded. "There is
Morning,
one
Mr.
more
Darnell.
thing.
My dad
Pearson
wanted you to
Goldman's
take a look at
board
the
voted this
transmission.
morning.
All right, Maya, let's
Brandon's
see what we can
annual
do.
retainer is terminated. Full refund
Cars
of
like this are
unused
not made
fees
anymore.
pending
They
review.
certainly are not.
We are also
It's a
launching
beauty.
an internal client ethics policy for public impact matters.
So,
Maya
do you
turned
want the car
then.
looking new?
That was your doing. Some of it. Thank you. Jonathan looked toward the old car. "I should
Make
thank
it honest,
you.
all right?
Yesterday
Let
I
the
stood in
repair
front of a
honor
man
the
who
age of
thought
the
he
car.
owned me because
Say
he
no
paid
more.
invoices. Then I
know
remembered
exactly
a
what
young
you
woman
mean.
who helped a law student stay in school because she believed people should not have to be born close to power to serve justice." Maya's expression softened. "I was 18.
We are restoring vendor
I didn't know
opportunities
much.
immediately.
You knew
This
enough.
new
A
oversight
breeze
guarantees fair
moved through the
contracts for
maple
everyone,
leaves.
completely
Across the
excluding
lot,
Brandon's company.
Rosa
Here
and
is
Malcolm
the
were
signed
loading boxes
HVAC
into a
contract,
pickup.
Malcolm.
Caroline
we look forward to
laughed
working
at something
together.
Renee
Thank
said.
you, Maya. We
Denise stood
appreciate
by
the
the hall
opportunity.
doors, speaking with Marsha
We're looking
Bell.
ahead to the
Her
next phase of
shoulders
the
no
Riverside
longer curled
development,
inward. Maya
prioritizing
watched
community
them.
involvement above
This
all else.
is the part I wanted.
He didn't show up after
Jonathan
all.
followed her
Opportunity
gaze.
should
The
not be
hearing?
a stage
No.
prop that
After the
appears
hearing,
in an
the
application
part where people
and
are still here.
disappears in a
He
contract.
understood. That evening,
Public
Maya drove
money
the Buick
requires
through the city
public
as the
trust,
sky turned
and
lavender
damaged
over the
trust
rooftops.
must be
She took the
repaired
long way
in
home,
daylight.
past corner stores, churches, row houses, bus stops, and repair shops with hand-painted signs in the windows. She passed a
Miss
diner
William,
where
if you
men
have a
in work
moment,
shirts
just
sat
one
drinking
final
coffee
question
after
regarding
long
the
shifts.
community's involvement.
She passed a
Of course,
vacant lot
Evelyn, you know
where
it's never
children had
just
turned
one.
a broken curb into a
Given
bicycle
everything
ramp.
you've
She
accomplished,
passed the
Maya,
old
why
street
still
where
the
her
old
father's
car?
garage once stood, now replaced by a modest community workshop with a
So the
mural
repairs are
painted on the
finally
side.
complete. How does
At
it
a
feel to
red
see it
light,
finished?
she rested
It's a
one
relief.
hand on the
It
steering
represents
wheel
a lot of
and
hard
looked at the
work by
empty
the
passenger
community.
seat. For years
My
after her
father
father
bought this
died,
car with his
she had
first
expected grief
honest
to become
savings.
quieter.
Not
But grief
easy
did not
money
always fade.
or hidden money.
Sometimes it became part of the
He
instrument
drove the
panel.
car to work
You
when his
learned
back
where it
hurt.
was. You
Drove
drove with
neighbors
it.
to appointments.
You let it remind you to
and
check
drove
your
me
mirrors,
to interviews I
keep
was
your
scared
hands
to
steady,
enter.
and never
The
forget
car
the
taught
roads that
her
brought
that
you
dignity
here.
does
Her
not
phone
need to be
buzzed in the cup
expensive
holder.
to be real.
A message from Angela appeared. Board-approved restoration program.
I would rather drive
Unanimous.
something old
Maya
with
smiled.
dignity
Then
than
another
something
message came
new
from
bought
Malcolm
with
Harris.
stolen chances.
Renee says if you ever need the Buick's AC fixed, Harris Family HVAC owes you one. Maya laughed out loud. Alone in the car, the light turned green. She drove on. 2 weeks later, the Buick finally went to a small body shop on the south side. Not because the scratch embarrassed her, but because her father had believed in fixing what could be fixed. The owner, an older man named Mr. Darnell, walked around the car twice, then whistled. La Sabra, he said. They don't make them like this anymore. No, Maya said. They don't. He ran a hand near the damaged panel without touching it. You want it looking new? Maya thought about that. New was never the point. Make it honest, she said. Mr. Darnell grinned. That I can do. When the car was finished, the blue paint did not look factory perfect. It looked cared for. The way old things look when someone refuses to abandon them simply because the world has moved on. A month after the hearing, CDCF announced the first group of restored vendor opportunities for Cedar Ridge South's replacement
As you can
process.
see, the investigation
Now
is
under
thorough.
new oversight and without
This
Cole
sealed
Urban
notice
Properties,
regards the disposition
Harris
of
Family
the shell
HVAC
corporations.
received a fair
Justice
contract.
isn't always
Rosa
loud.
Martinez secured
Sometimes
an affordable
it's the
retail
quiet
unit
strength
for her
to
second
rebuild,
bakery.
brick by
Jamal
brick,
Price's electrical
neighbor by
company
neighbor.
joined the approved vendor pool. Workshops opened for other small businesses that had once been treated as decoration. Brandon Cole was not there when the announcement was made. His company was under investigation. His assets were tied up in legal disputes. His name, once printed
This is
proudly
important
across
work.
glossy renderings,
Getting these stories
had
down.
become a cautionary
Yes,
whisper
the
in
truth
development circles.
needs a place to
Maya
live.
did not mention him in her remarks. She spoke instead about doors. Opportunity should not be a stage prop, she told the crowd at Riverside Community Hall. It should not appear in an application and disappear in a contract. It should not depend on who plays golf with who shares a last name with a consultant, or who looks like they belong in a room before they have spoken. If public money is involved, then public trust is involved. And trust, once damaged, must be repaired in daylight. People applauded then, but Maya kept her eyes on the back of the room, where the old and the young stood together, where working hands held folders, where people who had once been told to wait for future opportunities were now holding current ones. Afterward, Evelyn Hart approached near the exit, with her recorder lowered. Madam President,
Okay, just one
she
last
said.
question for you.
One last question, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
Maya smiled
We should address
slightly.
the budget concerns
Reporters
now.
rarely mean one.
Why do you
Evelyn
still drive
laughed.
the old sedan when
Fair,
you could afford any
but
car?
this one is simple. With everything you've accomplished, with every car you could afford, why do you still drive that old Buick? Maya looked through the open doors to the parking lot. The Buick sat beneath the afternoon sun, repaired now, its blue paint catching the light gently instead of demanding attention. She walked over to it, and Evelyn followed at a
He
respectful
always said the
distance.
dignity wasn't
Maya
just in
placed
the
her
earning,
hand on the hood,
but in what you
it
built
was
with
warm.
it.
My father bought
This
this
car
car
was
with his
everything
first
to
honest
him.
savings, she
My
said.
father's money
Not
wasn't
easy
easy
money,
or hidden.
Not hidden money.
It was
honest money.
honest.
He drove it to
He
work
worked
when his
hard
back
for
hurt.
every cent.
He drove neighbors to appointments when buses ran late. He drove me to interviews I was scared to walk into. This car taught me that dignity does not need to be
The
expensive
car
to
taught
be
her
real.
that
Evelyn
dignity
waited.
does
Maya
not
looked at the
need to be
windshield,
expensive.
remembering her father's hands at 10 and 2. Because
I would
my
rather
father
drive
bought this
something
car
old
with honest
dignity
money,
than
she
something
said.
new bought
And
with
I'd rather
stolen
drive
chances.
something old with dignity than something new bought with stolen chances. Evelyn lowered the recorder slowly. For a moment, neither woman spoke. Then Maya opened the driver's door and slid behind the wheel. The seat creaked softly, familiar and faithful. She started the engine, and the Buick rumbled to life with the steady patience of something built to last. As she pulled out of the lot, people turned to watch. Not because the car was expensive, not because it was
Some
impressive,
things are worth
but
more
because
than their
now
price.
they understood what
And
Brandon
some
Cole
people
never
carry
had.
power that is
Some
not
things are
obvious
worth
at
more
first
than
glance.
their price. Some people
Justice
are more
arrives not in a
powerful than they
motorcade,
appear,
sirens
and
or thunder,
sometimes
but
justice
in the old
arrives not in a
blue-gray
motorcade,
sedan driven by
not
Maya,
with
calm
sirens,
and steady
not
through
with
the
thunder,
neighborhood.
but in an
A
old
person's
blue
worth
Buick,
is never measured
driven
by
by
the
a
car
woman
they
who
drive,
lets truth
the
hold the
clothes they
wheel.
wear,
The
or
lesson of this
assumptions
story is
others
that a
make.
person's worth can never be measured by the car they drive, the clothes they wear, or the assumptions others make about them. Maya Williams' quiet strength
Real
reminds
power
us that
isn't about
dignity does not
status,
need to
it's
shout.
about trust.
And real power
With these
is not
restored
found in
contracts,
arrogance,
we're rebuilding our
money,
community
or
from the
status,
ground up.
but in truth, integrity, and the courage to stand for what is right. Brandon Cole believed wealth could protect him from consequences, but his prejudice exposed the corruption he tried to hide. In the end, justice prevailed, because Maya refused to answer hatred with hatred.
I'm so relieved
She let
the
the truth
restoration
speak,
project is complete.
And the truth changed everything.
Yes,
Thank
it's
you for
wonderful
staying
to
with
meet
this story
everyone back
until the very
together.
end. If it touched your heart, I would truly love to hear your thoughts on the storytelling, the emotional pacing, or whatever stayed with you after listening. Every comment you share helps make the next stories more honest, moving, and meaningful. And if you have a powerful or meaningful story of your own, please do not hesitate to send it to the channel. It may become the next story to touch and inspire thousands of others. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.